ended up destroying him at some point.
Why? What'd you do to destroy him?
I don't remember. We just it just got mangled up.
Okay.
So me and my girlfriend went at a bar once in 2019. And we were leaving this tavern spot. It was like Halloween, and they had like a bunch of skeletons on the outside. And this is when we first started dating. So I
stole it.
I grabbed it and I ran.
You thief!
I had her start the car.
Okay.
And she pulled up, grabbed the skeleton, got inside the back, and we just took off. So
Bonnie and Clyde.
that's
I see
Oscar.
y'all.
Yeah. Well, I know personally that I know people that have come into the office and been terrified, scared. Yeah, because it's just sitting there in the corner when we had it in the corner.
Yeah.
Ish Wainwright from the Suns, when he came into the studio during the Super Bowl week.
Yeah.
He got startled when he saw it. You were there.
Yeah.
As soon as we put the wig on him, I thought he was my twin for a second.
He kind of just, he just needs a beard.
Remember Manny Quinn, though? Manny Quinn from the old spot used to scare everybody, too.
Yes.
That one was scarier.
Yes.
Because that looked like a real person.
I forgot about that. How are our levels? Good? Awesome. So I guess let's hit the intro.
Could it be hard times that strain my mind with situations that created complications in my life, like my father's past decisions and drug addictions, or my mother's death? I love your mom. What's next? I've already been.
Welcome to Defy the Odds podcast. This is number 5.
Cinco.
And it is our first, I guess, episode with video recording that's going to go onto YouTube. Very excited about that. And with that being said, we had to bring on Vick Almighty for the first video episode for YouTube.
Yes, sir.
That's right. These guys went all out for me. New set, video recording. I feel honored.
Yeah, you
What's
should.
about your buddy?
Yeah, we were just having a conversation about, what'd you name it?
His name's Oscar. We stole him years back.
Yeah, so Oscar has been kind of a security guard of our business, and people have walked in occasionally, and like our old cleaners, like it scared the shit out of people before. So we just figured we needed a sidekick to join us on this episode of Defy the Odds, and here we go.
He's a good dude.
I can't read that, so why don't you tell me exactly what our notes are there?
The intro, we're talking about it, Defy the Odds. Why don't you just break down exactly what this podcast is for the people that this might be their first episode?
So really, we're still trying to figure that out, I would say, but Defy the Odds is really telling stories about people that have overcome struggles in their life and managed to do things, and really just digging deep to get to that next level. And defying the odds, you should say. So obviously, we've told some of your story. We've told some of my story. We're going to hear a little bit from Vick today about kind of his journey and really kind of go from there.
Yeah, again, this is episode 5. So if you guys haven't had a chance to check out episode 1 through 4, make sure you do that pretty much on almost every streaming platform, correct?
I hope so.
We hope so. If not, we get in there.
Yeah. So with that being said, let's start with the intentions from last week. You also went to Japan, so I want to hear about that. How did your intentions go in Japan? Did you work out?
Man. Hey, so just to recap, we set intentions pretty much every week what we want to do. Last week, mine was to continue working out. I started a little workout journey thanks to Steve. And my second one was to be a better boyfriend. I was with being gone for about 5-7 days. I was like, you know what? I need to do the best I can.
Did you call her at all?
I didn't, just because international
God.
minutes, man, that ain't no joke.
Text message?
Oh, yeah, no, we text every day.
Oh, okay.
She called me, and I did talk to her because she called me, but I personally didn't call her.
Okay.
But I was texting her, sending a little selfies of myself, some little fire fit pics out in Japan. But when it came to, I want to circle around because I was like, yeah, I want to continue this workout journey. I'm going to run in Tokyo.
Yeah, good luck. Yeah, how much drinking was involved? Did you guys drink?
No. I mean, we had maybe like there's these things called Strongs.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like a 9% alcohol, like in a can. So think of it like the.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it was good. It was actually tasted really good. I had one of those, maybe a couple highballs throughout my whole time, but we didn't really.
So no push-ups.
No push-ups.
Okay, well.
Listen, I said I was gonna run, and I'm getting to that. So I walked a lot. So by the end of the first day, my feet were toasted. I took out my eBay Dunks, and the shoes pretty much plastic.
Well, yeah, that's
so
what made you take those?
It's a head turn. You should have seen them all breaking their necks. I'm not sure if they have eBay in Japan, but everyone on the train walking, they kept staring. Even the buddy who I went with, Hayden, he was like, bro, everyone is breaking their neck on those shoes. And I'm like,
Interesting.
yeah, they look, it's a strange shoe
It's a
for
unique
someone.
shoe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
see
it's-
through, flex the red socks to go with it, with the red hat. So yeah, so my toes were on fire to the point I worked the whole day. We went back to the hotel, showered, changed, went to dinner. I walked out with them, and Hayden was like, "Are you sure you want to wear those? You've been cleaning." I looked down at my feet, and I just felt them throbbing through the plastic. So I was like, "No, you're right. I'm gonna go inside. I'm gonna put some forces on." But again, I walked every single day, countless of miles.
You
So
should have
it's-
been keeping track.
I had the Apple Watch too. It kept asking me and ignoring me, and I was like, "Man, dismissed." But I walked a lot, so my feet, I was pretty sore. And then on Sunday, me and Hayden, we went to go to Mount Fuji. We pretty much got scammed by Expedia. They sent us wrong information. We went all around the city trying to find this pickup location. We couldn't find it. But we actually jogged and ran to get to the next spot to be there on time. Did it for like 2 minutes, bro. And I was winded. I said, and I want to do this the whole time. So, yeah, unfortunately, I didn't do much on my workout journey. But as far as being a good boyfriend, I definitely did my best. Before I left, I got her a gift. When I came back, I got her flowers. I text her, I sent her pictures. I did what I can do. Could I have done better? Maybe,
Well,
possibly.
yeah.
But
You can
again,
always do better.
Yeah, you can always do better, So, how about you, though? Let's talk about your intentions. You didn't drink.
Well, I just want to say I would think walking all the time, that I consider that a win. So,
bro, I
so
walk-
give me a clap. There you go.
I walked miles on miles
Yeah.
on miles every single day.
That's exercising.
Real
So-
quick, what's the goal for Robert? What are you trying to get to with your
Oh.
fitness journey?
Well, the beginning of the year, I told myself I want to work out my shoulder because I had a surgery a
Remember
few
that.
years back. So I just want to kind of strengthen my shoulder again and then work on my belly.
Okay.
You've known me for about 5 years.
Yeah, you were a lot skinnier 5 years ago.
I
but
was a lot
we're not
skinnier
trying to
5
talk.
years ago.
Trying
My
to smack.
belly is definitely getting bigger. So that's pretty much my main goal, is to really just work on my belly, lose the gut, and then kind of just strengthen my shoulder, my biceps, just overall.
Well, I will tell you that he was in the gym today, so he's hitting it. And I hate to throw shade at Akil again, but he's never made
haven't
step one
seen him.
foot into the goddamn gym.
Make sure you guys go back and listen to episode 3. It was a great story with the kid.
Yeah. So mine, I need a wah, wah, wah. That's pretty good, right? I didn't read every day. So I missed a day, and then I forgot to do it the next day, and then I kind of just dropped the ball.
So you didn't finish the book.
I did not finish the book, and I honestly forgot about it until today. I'm like, oh, you know what? I did not come through. So I'm not going to come in and lie to everybody. I dropped the ball there. Now I have not drank. And I went to the Ice Cube concert, and it was really hard not to have a drink.
Yeah,
What's even harder, I just came back from Japan and I brought some Japanese whiskey. And
Yeah.
I was really hoping Steve was going
I
to,
would've
on this
been down.
podcast, I was like, yo, it's Japanese whiskey I got from Japan. Let's all take a little shot together. But
Did you
I
take
had
a
to
shot?
turn it down.
you had to
No.
turn it down. Yeah,
Yeah.
being responsible.
Did you take a shot?
I haven't. You want to?
At some point.
Hey, we might do that after this.
Well, we can bring him back next month, and we can tap into that bottle, because I definitely want to try it, but I cannot. I have to follow through with that one.
Of course, yeah. That's
Just a month that you're no alcohol, or
Yeah, basically. I just said I've been drinking every weekend for a while. I need to stop, and so till the end of the month, I basically said I'm not going to drink.
That's what's up, man.
And I'm telling you, going to a concert without having a drink is a totally different experience. I've never done
sure,
a
yeah,
sober concert, and I would say that I probably didn't enjoy it as much, to be
was it
honest.
just
with you.
Ice Cube? Was there other people?
No,
there?
so, and that was part of it. It was a really long intro, so it was like a bunch of 90s people. I forget the first girl was lighter shade of brown. It was, let me think, who else was there? Shit, I don't even know. Yeah.
Hey, well, one of the dopest concerts I went to was Ice Cube, but only because I had front row seats. I've been to countless of concerts. I worked at the radio.
Yeah.
I've always got access where I could be up front taking pictures, but never enjoy a full concert experience front row.
It's pretty dope.
It was amazing. I saw Ice Cube, Snoop Dogg, a couple of, it was kind of like a 90s concert,
Yeah,
but literally front row in an arena. And I was like, yo, that was dopest concert ever.
So I remember Warren G was there. He was
yep, I
actually
saw
the
him too.
best.
Yeah,
he was
there.
probably the best that I saw.
Corrupt probably too.
No Corrupt. It was lighter shade of brown. It was Bone Thugs and Harmony.
That's
It was
sick.
Warren G. There was a few, and unfortunately, our babysitter was she had to leave at 11, And of course, guess what time?
11.
No,
10:45.
No, well, we had to leave by 10:30.
Okay.
So guess what time Ice Cube came on?
10:20.
About 10:20. Yeah, we saw 2 songs. But what was cool is Tino Cochino invited me, so we were in a skybox with some of his people, and it was a fun, cool experience. But it was just different not having a drink in my hand. It was like, what do I even do when there's nothing happening, right?
Smoke some weed.
No
Well,
chocolates?
Yeah, no, I went completely sober. It was an interesting experience. So next concert, I'll probably have a drink. I'll be honest with you.
Nice.
As long as it's next month.
Yeah, next month.
For sure.
Yeah. So
those are our intentions. Obviously, later on in the episode, we're going to come up with some more intentions. I would imagine every week, or we're going to continue the same intentions. Or you got a new one this week, Steve? You trying to focus on?
Let's get into that after. Like,
sure.
I think we set it some, but I also want to challenge him at the end to set some intentions for the week, and then we can follow up. Since we see him every day, we can find out if he did it, and we can
we'll
report
hold you
back.
accountable.
Yeah,
That's
we
true.
can
a
report
lot
back.
more than a kill, hopefully.
I see you guys every single day.
Yeah, and Nick started at the gym, so
Oh, yeah, major props to Nick.
It's a trend. I see some other people doing it, so hopefully, I even may work out a deal with Shane that he doesn't charge anybody, and he helps build a training program for them, and then I just cover the bill, like work a deal with him since he rents the space for me.
I think that's a good idea, Steve, especially because you know better than anybody. People that work out just feel better and just have more energy.
And I told Nick today, he was so worried about getting back. I think yesterday he didn't finish his workout for some reason, and I'm like, bro, if you are working out, you can take longer than an hour. Like, take an hour and 15 minutes as long as you're trying to better yourself. If you're out there smoking weed or doing whatever and playing video games or scrolling, you got to get back to work. But if you're actually benefiting yourself working out, take a little extra time. Don't sweat it.
Yeah, super dope on your half for sure.
100%. That's cool, Steve. And like again, like it just goes back to the business. You know, like people feel good. People want to put out better work. People just, just feel good being here at work.
So when are you coming to the gym?
I was just about to say. So by the end of the thing, he's gonna hold you accountable and put you in the gym. I don't have to be your intention though. Come up with something personal.
No, I should start working out more, but I do stuff outside of this gym.
I understand. Yeah.
I should honestly be more consistent, but I do try to hit the gym at least 3 times a week, whether it's just running, couple, lifts, weightlifting because muscle's important. I'm not super consistent on it. I hit it for the sauna, but
it's so easy that it's right here. That's the main reason why I go. It's like I just walk out the door and I'm there.
Yeah.
It's like one of those things though. Like I want to do it because literally it's right there. There's no excuse. But like some lunches, I'm like running to go pick up some material, or I'm always running around doing something where like I feel like I can't keep it consistent.
It needs to be a priority.
Yeah,
like
that's the thing.
It needs to be a priority. So
for sure.
Well, let's get into your story, man. So why don't you tell the people, and I've heard some of this story before of how you got into sneakers, but really I'm curious, about you growing up. Like, tell us a little bit about your family, growing up in Phoenix, and then really getting to the point where you started getting into sneakers.
For sure. I mean, you guys know my story, but a lot of people don't. The journey's still going. I'm born and raised here in Phoenix, dude. I'm super proud of that. I remember back then I used to always question my dad when he first migrated from Mexico over here. I'm like, why'd you pick Phoenix, man? It's so freaking hot. There's nothing out here. But over the years, like I've came to appreciate Arizona and Phoenix so much just because it's beautiful, honestly.
It's a cool spot.
It's a cool spot. It's beautiful. Like even our location, dude, like I love it. If you go to the back around 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you get an awesome view to the skyline of Phoenix, an awesome view to our sunsets. And Phoenix has some of the most beautiful sunsets in the world. Yeah. If you go in front of many roads, you get a nice view of Camelback Mountain, and I love seeing that mountain for some reason. So all those things I just appreciate so much.
It's interesting you say that because a lot of times I get so focused that I don't even notice that. Yeah, like even when I drive home, there's a mountain view as I'm driving down the street, and sometimes I'm like, man, this is beautiful, right? But sometimes I'm just so in my thoughts that I don't even appreciate it.
And that happens to me too, but like, that's just one thing that every single day I look forward to, whether I'm driving or I go outside. If I'm working, most days I'm working here past 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, but I try to like go outside just right here in the back and just go look at the canal, look at the sunset. It's like one of my favorite things in the world. But going back to talking about Phoenix, like where I'm at now and just the industry too, like Phoenix is still up and coming, like compared to these other cities like LA, Chicago, New York. So like I
they
think
hit their cap, you know,
to an extent, you know, but Phoenix is still growing. You know, a lot of brands have came out here over the years. There's more and more stuff happening here in Phoenix now. You know, like a small example is Regi. You know, he is now connected with the Coyotes. He chose to come here to Phoenix because he knows there's opportunity here in Phoenix. So that's just one example of, you know, the opportunities and the growth that Phoenix is experiencing. And so, yeah, so going back to what I was talking about, over the years and just doing what I'm doing, I'm super happy that I'm here in Phoenix. You know, like, I don't think I'd have the same opportunities if I was anywhere else. And going back to like 8 years ago, when I joined Resjuvenator, the stars lined up type thing, you know, like me doing what I do here in Phoenix, Resjuvenator being here based out in Phoenix, like, it's just one of those things that just stuff connected.
Where's your family from?
My family's from Mexico. They're from a small town called Salinas, a small pueblo to the big city called San Luis Potosí. It's a pretty far drive. We go out there every year.
Is you and your siblings all born in the U.S.?
We're all born in the U.S. I was born in '93. My brother was born 4 years later, and my sister was born 4 years after my little brother. So we're all 4 years apart.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, yes.
When did your mom and dad get here?
My dad crossed the border a few times, actually. This is back in the 80s, so it was a lot easier compared to now. So he did it like a good 2 or 3 times. The third one was the one where he like kind of decided to stay. The third one was when he brought my mom over here.
Okay.
The first 2 times, like the first one, I think he came through on a train. So like on the bottom of the train, there's this little like compartment where like people can squeeze in. He was under there for like a good 24 hours before he was even able to get out and like move around and do anything. So that was one experience. The second one was he's got caught too, like where like he was basically in Texas waiting to get picked up, and immigration caught them.
Really?
And they took him all the way back.
See, I didn't know this, and I know his dad because we work together and all that. And we got to show. We need a picture to show a picture next to him because he looks just like his dad, but his dad's obviously older.
It's an older version.
Papa Vick.
But they definitely have a similar look to them. Okay, so keep going because I'm super interested in.
Yeah, and then when my dad came over here, he was still with my mom. My mom was back at home. They were still together. You know, after about a year, he went back for her, brought her over here, and it got super lucky type thing. Like, they were in the taxi, raided across the border. My dad at that point already had his residential card, so he was able to cross the border. But my mom was like going over to the U.S. for the first time ever. So like it was like pretty freaking sketch. So they were in the taxi waiting to like get to the border.
Mm-hmm.
Or crossing the border, and they asked them for her identification, and she was just acting like she was looking for it, you know, taking forever.
They just said, "Go ahead."
Exactly.
Yeah.
She just let him pass by, just like that. And you know, after that, she just stayed over here. A few years later, they get their residential, and then after that, they get their citizenship. And we've gone to Mexico so many times since, but they've been through a lot. You know, they came over here with absolutely nothing. You know, so they had a small studio, didn't have any money for a pillow, basic necessities, but they made it work, dude. So
how long after they got to the U.S. did they have you? You're the oldest, right?
I'm the oldest, so a year later or so,
Okay.
not even. So I was part of that little bit of the struggle at first. I remember, you know, apartments, living in pretty crappy places. You know, eventually we started coming up and, you know, got to where we're at. But, yeah, it was kind of a struggle at first.
So walk me through, like, elementary school.
So like I remember entering kindergarten, dude. I did not know English.
Okay.
You know, I was raised in a Spanish
That
household.
could be challenging.
The thing is, though, it wasn't that bad. Like I guess as a kid, you pick up the language a lot easier than you do when you're older. Because I don't remember struggling that much. I watched a lot of TV. You know, I was around with a bunch of kids that spoke nothing but English. Teachers spoke English, so I think naturally you just pick up on all that stuff, and you just have to learn English.
But it's interesting because and it's probably doing that as a kid because you don't even have an accent. Like I talked to my buddy Javier, and he speaks good English, but you can tell that he's
yes and no, man. I think my accent definitely does come out sometimes. I have like a Spanglish sometimes where like I don't remember the words in English or I don't remember words in Spanish where I have to combine certain things. It's so annoying, dude, like knowing 2 different languages because I could be having good English and then out of nowhere I just forget what to even say.
Shit, I wish I spoke too.
Yeah, me too. Random question though. I've always wondered this for someone who's bilingual or trilingual. When you dream, what like is there a language? Are you dreaming a certain language, or how does that work?
I'm mostly English, dude.
English?
Like I can understand Spanish 100%. Me speaking Spanish is a bit more of a struggle. Not to say that I can't, but like holding a good, easy conversation's a little tougher for me. But English is a lot easier for me on my end, and
So
my dreams are English, bro.
I don't know.
So kindergarten, you learn. How long does it take you to learn English?
I think it was pretty fast, bro. I don't
First
remember,
year,
first couple months, to be honest, because I don't remember struggling that whole school year, like trying to learn English. I think I picked it up pretty quickly, and that's again, I think that goes back to television, you know, kids shows, Sesame Street, Arthur, all those shows. I just love watching that.
So and at that point, your brother is your brother
my
second?
little brother, yeah. So he's 4 years apart. So when I'm in kindergarten,
He's like one.
he's like one. So there's a funny story. Before kindergarten, obviously most kids go to preschool. I had to get taken out of preschool early because my brother was just a crying baby, dude. Like he could not be at the daycare, and they could not take care of him, and my mom could not. Well, I don't even remember the story. So like,
He was difficult.
He was difficult for sure. So I just couldn't go to preschool because of him. So I got taken out early. I had to wait till kindergarten to go back. But my little brother, him and I are super close, dude. Like him and I, he works
for us. Yeah,
I see him every single day, dude.
So was Spanish his first language too, or was English?
No,
kind of
I think
because you're as his older brother.
He had both off the rip, you know. So English and Spanish, he just learned both at the same time. And same thing with my sister.
What about your parents? Do they speak English? Or
my dad's pretty fluent in English. My mom understands English fully, but she's still learning. But yeah, they're both pretty good on English.
That's cool because a lot of bilingual parents, like from Mexico, some of them don't teach their kids Spanish.
Yeah. And like at home, dude, like when I talk to them, I'm talking to them in English because I'm trying to get them to get their English up, you know.
And they're responding in Spanish.
And they're trying to get me to work on my Spanish, you know. And my mom's big on like me reading in Spanish and me listening to stuff in Spanish because she knows down the line that's going to be super beneficial for what I do, you know, having multiple languages under my belt.
So what happens next?
So, you know, that's basically kindergarten, dudes. So like I learn English and stuff, you know, I'm a good student.
What's good student mean? Like what kind of grades you getting?
I got decent grades, you know. I was disciplined, you know. I had good parents that were on me, like making sure I got my stuff done.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna take advantage of this shit
1000%.
because we fucking went through hell to get you here. Yeah,
and I think about that all the time. Like, let's zoom forward to now. I can't fail type thing because a lot of people have gone through a lot to get me to where I'm at, you know. So yeah, they suffered a lot. So going back to, you know, school years, I was pretty disciplined, you know. I made sure all my homework was done, get good grades and all that kind of stuff. I was good in that area. 5th grade came around. That's kind of when I started getting into shoes.
Okay, let's hear it.
I remember the first shoe that got me like super hyped, and it was the LeBron 2 All-Stars. And this was the Foot Locker in Spectrum. I remember Tesh. Tesh used to work there. He's the local here. He runs Heated Soul Summit. I was in 5th grade. He was working there as a manager.
He was already working there?
Yeah, dude.
How much older is Tesh than you?
He's a few years older than me. That's how far back we go. And I remember talking to him, me and my dad, and like I was asking him how many shoes he has, and he was like over 100. And I was blown away, you know, because as a 5th grader.
How old are you in 5th grade?
I was
11, 12,
10 years old.
10, 11.
Okay.
So he was probably 17 or 18 or something.
So he's like 6 or 7 years older than you.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's how far me and Tesh go back. But that's kind of what got me into shoes, the All-Star LeBron 2s.
Does he remember that conversation?
Yeah,
though?
yeah.
Or was
He
like
remembers.
years later after you met him, you're like, I met you here.
I don't know if he remembers that specific conversation, but I used to go to Spectrum, Christown a lot just because of the shoes thing. So I would see him a lot. So he remembers me and my brother for, you know, just all the interactions we would have.
It's crazy because when I was a kid, I would go there too. I never met Tesh that way. I met him through my cousin because they went to high school together. But there's the same old manager that's been there
He's
for
been
like
there for
30 years.
I was just there last month when we were looking for the Pumas. Same dude.
That's still there. Every time I see him, like, bro,
how long
when
has
I
he
was
worked
a
there?
It has to be 25 years. I'm 30, and he literally, I was 7 or 8 going to that mall and seeing that dude there.
I remember interviewing for him. Dude did not hire me years ago.
Fuck that.
Same guy.
That's funny.
But
I don't like him no more.
No, it worked out.
Oh,
But
hell yeah, it worked out.
All-Star 2s, I begged my parents to get me those shoes, and they were over $100, you know. And at the time, 5th grade as a kid, my parents were not dropping that kind of money. And I would get one pair of shoes, you know, per school year. When I asked for those shoes, it was like around April or May, end of school year. So they compromised with me. They're like, okay, we'll get you the shoes, but going into the next school year, you're not getting another pair of shoes.
Okay.
So I was like, screw it, I don't care.
Got
them, 6th grade. I'm still wearing these freaking shoes that I beat up over the summer. But
did you outgrow them, or did they get an extra size so you could grow into them?
At that point, I was pretty steady with my size 7 or something. So I wore them until like they had holes and stuff. I cut the straps off and I kept them for a while. I think I lost them at some point. But that's the shoe that got me into shoes. And after that, I remember going to Stevens Shoes a lot, too. Stevens Shoes is a big store here. Well, it was a big store here. I think there's only one location left. They used to have a big...
You went to the one on the west side?
The one right here on 43rd and Indian School.
Okay, they had one there, then one like super west. Like
51st and 55th Avenue and Bethany, I believe. I used to go to that one. I used to go to all of them.
I went to one on the east side, 24th Street.
I was never on the east side.
That's like a 24th Street or like 20th, right by the freeway.
They had all the shoes, Jordans, Nikes. I remember seeing the Black Hats on the shelves. AIDS, like all the stuff from that era, they were there. But again, I didn't have money to buy that stuff. 2005, 2006, 2007, and after. But after that, dude, it's just really I really got into shoes, but I couldn't afford shoes. Again, I was 5th grade, 6th grade. My parents were not dropping that kind of money. I did not have a job, so it was just like window shopping for years. 7th grade, dude. 7th grade is really when I started getting into like restoring shoes. And again, going back to one pair of shoes per school year, I would get, this is 7th grade, 2007, Air Forces were big. Got a pair of brand new white Air Forces beginning of the school year. Used to do my best to keep them clean until, you know, like you think they're clean and then you go to Foot Locker and whatever, and then you see a brand new white pair of shoes and you realize that white isn't that white. Yeah. So I would go home every single day and paint my shoes with that white shoe paint. White shoe polish.
All of us did that. Yeah.
But every single day when you would wear them, anything you scuff, you get like a mark. So I would get home, scrub all that paint off with a bucket of water and some soap and a brush, scrub it all off, let them dry. By 8 o'clock, 9, they're dry. Sit there, paint the shoes white all over again. I did that every single day for so many months in 7th grade and 8th grade as well. And that's what got me into like just trying to keep my shoes clean, you know, using soap and old brush that my mom used to clean her old bathroom. And that white shoe polish, man, that shit got me going for months, man. 2 years basically, 7th grade and 8th grade. High school came around. Again, I was still into shoes. It wasn't until like sophomore year where I realized what shoes really are, like the resale value and stuff. 2009, the Space Jams, you know, the Space Jams came out, and like I knew the movie Space Jam, I knew the movie Space Jam and how big those 11s were in that movie. I wanted them bad, and they come out, and I wait like 3 days later and I go to Foot Locker, like, hey, do you guys have these in my size? Like, idiot. I'm like, dude, they sold out like instantly. So that's when I realized there's a resale game, and like, you know, like exactly, and that's kind of what really got me into shoes. But still, sophomore year, I didn't have a job. I was still in high school. Didn't have money, so I realized I could go to Craigslist or these other sites and, you know, find shoes for cheaper, way cheaper, because nobody at the time was, you know, buying shoes to restore them or clean them up. Yeah. So I was buying shoes for $40, $50, and cleaning them up and making them worth a lot more. And that's really what got me going.
So, would you buy them for yourself, clean them, or would you buy them?
I buy everything for myself. You know, I was big.
So you weren't buying them, cleaning them, and reselling them.
Not really. I was like focused on myself.
So
being
just
fresh
size, whatever size you are.
8.5, 9. You know, high school, just trying to be the best fit. You know, dress the best as I can. And in high school, I worked with my dad every single Saturday. That was my only job I had, because I was just focused in school. I didn't have time for a job, and I don't think I was even old enough, 14 or 15, to have a job. But I was working with my dad Saturdays, and I think I would get $150 per month. That was basically my budget for haircuts, clothes, whatever lunch I wanted to buy, my bus fare. But I made it work.
It's pay for yourself, buddy.
Yeah, I'm sure at this point, though, in high school, other people peeped what you were doing.
Yeah,
Did they ever like come at you and said, "Hey, yo, I got some busted ones. Can you hook me up?"
That was senior year, you know, right before I graduated high school. People
I got a question before we get into that, because I've heard the story. I thought that, and I could be remembering this story wrong. For some reason, I remember hearing that you spray painted a pair of shoes silver or
You know
something.
what? That's funny, man. That's actually true. That goes back to 7th grade as well. So
Let me hear that story.
So yeah, this is where I'm trying to buy
Never
shoes.
heard this one, so let's hear it.
Yeah, my barber friend had a pair of Blazers. I forgot the name of them. I think they're called anthracites. And they had a chrome swoosh. The colorway had some red, gray, a white sole. Super clean. What really had me was the chrome swooshes. He had a pair, but he beat them up to the point where that chrome was flaking off. So I was able to get them for like $15 or something, but they were still cleanable. Like everything else cleaned up nicely with some soap and water, but the swooshes were just like, they had no chrome. So I went to like AutoZone, I believe, bought myself one of those metallic chrome spray cans, taped up the shoe, spent like 2 hours taping up the shoe, sprayed it. It came out super freaking sick. Like it was what it was supposed to look like, chromey. And then I think the next day I throw them on feet as I'm walking to school, dude. That shit's just
Crumbling,
flaking right off, man. So
was that your first like
I would say so, man. Besides the white
restoration?
100%. That's probably goes all the way back to that. Between, you know, using white shoe polish on my Air Force Ones, that's more so where I kind of got crafty with it. Got some tape from, you know, my parents' garage.
Yeah, wrong tape.
Horrible tape. You know, horrible paint.
Scotch tape.
Yeah, horrible stuff. But that, dude, good memory. That's actually probably my first restoration / custom, I guess.
Okay. So tell us senior year then.
Senior year, man, like senior year was fun just because, again, I did good in my high school. I did good in high school to the point where I was getting off early. I was off by 12 o'clock. I was chilling for the most part. I still didn't have a job. To this day, dude, the only jobs I ever had is Rejuvenator and working with my dad.
Hey, clap it up for that.
Yeah, there you
Fire,
go.
dude.
Yeah.
Say, this is
Well,
like
no,
your first job.
you worked down. I mean, I don't know if you worked for them, but whatever.
Pound for pound.
Yeah, those
Yes and
idiots
no.
that
Like I
rip
was just,
people off.
I was just taking like restorations. I was just picking them up, taking them home.
Gotcha.
So I was just always
But
running
that's
for
a job.
myself.
So you've been
Job-ish.
working for yourself, yeah.
Always
Yeah.
been restoring though, essentially.
yeah.
That's like
Yeah,
passion.
it's
10
still
years
doing what
later,
I'm doing.
Nah, you mean since 7th grade?
Yeah, this was going on in 2014, 2015 before I joined Rejuvenator.
So go back to senior year.
Senior year. So senior year, I was doing that stuff on the side. I was getting off school early. I still didn't really have a job. My priority was just having a good time in senior year. I was, you know,
course.
playing basketball with the homies, you know.
Smoking weed yet?
No, not a little bit,
Okay.
you know, a little bit. I was just only do it at nights. And this is during the time where I'd be like, or I smoked. I remember smoking once at night, like hotboxing with the homies. Got so high that the next day I was still high. I'm like, I don't want to ever be high during the day. This sucks.
Yeah,
you know,
I
10
hear
years
you.
later, I don't know about that. But yeah, not very much. Though. I was very into like sports, very into like just hanging out with friends, into shoes and stuff. Getting into like just trying to figure out how to paint shoes, really. Like, because I bought a pair junior year, before senior year, a pair of 2001 Black Cement 3s. From a good friend. I forgot his name right now, so he's not really a good friend.
That good of a friend.
I could have been, but yeah.
But I got that pair. They weren't in horrible condition, but if you guys are familiar with 2001 Black Cement 3s, those always need a midsole repaint. The paint fades away. The paint on the Nike Air was fading off, so I tried restoring that stuff. And today, that's like I could do that stuff with my eyes closed. At the time, I tried painting the Nike Air. It just looked so freaking bad. It looked like I tried painting it with my toenails, dude. Like, it was just horrible brush strokes. For average midsole repaint, you use like a drop of paint. It doesn't take much. On those shoes, I spent like 2 4-ounce bottles of paint, you know, and I was using a sponge.
Just overdoing it.
Overdoing it, you know, using a sponge to like, because I wasn't trying to get brush strokes, and I didn't have an airbrush at the time. So I was using a sponge method, just soaking up the paint. And I realized I wasn't getting anywhere, so I scrapped that project, sold them off, attempted it again on some Bread 4s from 2008 CDPs.
Okay.
I spent all summer restoring that pair because, again, if you guys are familiar with that pair, the paint on that shoe flakes off so easily. So I got all the paint off, once again, attempted to repaint. Literally spent like a month redoing it, just doing it, redoing it, just taking off all the paint until it looked right. And I got it to look right.
What paint were you using?
Angelus paint still.
Okay.
You know, I was getting it from turtlefeathers.com. That was the OG site for Angelus. And I got the stuff. Took me a solid month, but I eventually got it right. I went into senior year with those Bread 4s, and it looked good, dude. And I sold them off later on. But that was my first successful restoration. And really I started doing that going into senior year little by little. And again, it was just from my stuff. And some of the friends would send me some stuff as well, but I wasn't advertising it. Instagram was a thing, but wasn't, again, promoting anything like that. I wasn't focusing on that. And then, I graduate high school. I go into college the following year, September. I go to Glendale Community College, GCC. And at the time, I was just going to get a business degree, and like
just going
to go, exactly, because I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was just going just because I had to go. What else am I going to do? And I didn't like it, dude. I hated it.
You wanted to do something. Your parents probably wanted you to go to college.
Exactly. And at the time, still, like, there was no roadmap for shoes. You know, that was never an option really until I'll get there.
When did you? So you did a couple restorations. When did you really feel like, man, I'm kind of good at this?
So
before that, let's talk about your first custom, your first commission custom that you did. I've heard this story, but I'm sure other people haven't.
What Steve's saying, that comes first before I get to there.
Okay, yeah, I want to talk to.
So yeah, I go my whole freshman year in college, just going to school. And I hated it, dude. I was just taking all types of shortcuts, just going to just go in between classes. I'm on iPad watching The Walking Dead, not really doing homework. During that year, as I'm doing work, I'm starting to post it on Instagram. I'm trying to really advertise it and promote it. This page at the time called AZ Kicks reshared it, and they were a pretty big page. Maybe had like 6,000, 5,000 followers, and that's kind of what got me on the map. A bunch of sneakerheads followed that page. They started following me. They started DMing me, and I was answering everybody. And I was taking on projects. Had a lot of before and afters to show. All that stuff. I knocked out all that stuff, and it would bring in more work and more work and more work to the point where, like, I was doing that for 2-3 years. And going back to Robert's question, my first official custom was around that time. It was for a lesbian couple that were getting married, and they wanted it was one pair of shoes. It was for one of them. It was the ugliest colorway ever, and I've never done a custom before. There was a salmon tone and a teal tone. Wasn't familiar with stencils, wasn't familiar with anything, but I wanted to take on the project. Went to Walmart, bought like some little crappy stickers, laid them down, painted over them. It worked good as a stencil. The custom overall turned out good. It wasn't crappy looking. I made it work. Towards the end, when I was almost done with the custom, I had my little brother, Yared, wrap it up by drawing the shoes. He just needed to dry the freaking shoes. That's all he needed to do. And he gets...
I've heard this.
Yeah, he just, starts watching the TV like a 10-year-old, just, starts drifting off into space, leaves the heat gun onto the tongue for like way too long. And I'm focused on something else, thinking he has it. Next thing you know, I hear him say, like, I think he's like, says my name in a certain way where he's like worried or he knows he fucked up, and I turn around and you can just tell by his face, he's just in shock. And at that point, I look at the shoe, dude. There's a fat hole right in the middle of the shoe. And like at that time, I had $500 to my name. I was thinking I had to replace the whole shoe, redo the whole project, and they're about to get married in 2 days. Yeah. So I was like, fuck, how am I gonna fix this? Luckily, the laces and the lace lock was just enough to cover it up, to where it wasn't too big of a deal. I explained it to them. They were super cool with it, luckily. They paid me, and that was that. I've never heard from them again. Don't even know if the custom still exists. I hope they do. I hope they're still married.
I'm
and
sure
I hope
they probably got it still.
Yeah, hopefully it's in the middle of the living room on display. But that was my first official custom. And the restorations, I was, starting to knock them out. I was doing that for a good 2 to 3 years. I started doing that in 2013, 2015. I was just kind of burnt out, dude. I was kind of tired of doing it. It was just restorations or restorations.
What were you charging back then?
Not enough.
Well, yeah, I know, but you're learning, so you can't.
Not enough, and like.
What do you think? Like,
it just depends. Let's say for
midsole repaint,
Jordan 3 midsole repaint, cleaning and everything, yellowing, probably like $60 to $80.
Definitely not enough.
Yeah, I was spending hours on that thing, and you guys know that I'm a perfectionist. So I would not let anything go if it didn't look good.
How long would it take you to do a project like that?
I would spend like all day type thing, like from morning to night. And again, I was working out of my house, doing this out of my room, really. So I had my bed in the corner of my room. Luckily, my room was pretty big, but after like a year or two, like it got filled up pretty quickly with all the shoe boxes, all the tools that I would use. So I was waking up and going to sleep working with shoes.
What I love about that, and I got the chills, is because you weren't so worried about making the most money, right?
Yeah.
When you're starting, you were really trying to perfect your craft and put out good work. So you were probably making $5 an hour.
Yeah.
When you could have gone and got a job for, I don't know how much
A
people
lot
were
more
making
money.
back then.
100%. I had all my friends, having real jobs and stuff and doing all the, not spending as much time at work and making a lot more money for when I was, focusing on the craft, not making much money, head down all the time, 4 years.
Yeah, you were obsessed.
And I'm still obsessed.
Yeah.
I'm still want to be the best I can. I'm still trying to learn everything I can. I'm here a lot of the nights, working on stuff, trying new stuff, seeing what I can do different, So I still feel that same way. I still haven't lost that spark, I think.
So go back, because I interrupted you.
All
but
good.
Go back to you kind of lost some steam.
I lost some steam for sure, though, So kind of talking about what I was saying, that's all that stuff was in my room. I was waking up to shoes, going to sleep to shoes, bro. I was sick of it, and it wasn't even healthy, dude. I was like spraying matte finish in my room, gluing shoes with bar cement. There's no way that was healthy.
Bye brain cells.
Yeah, dude. I'm sure I lost hella those couple years. I was drained though, and those restorations were after 2 years, they were repetitive, midsole repaints, cleanings. I was good at them.
Were you already at pound for pound at that point?
Yeah, exactly. I was doing stuff through pound for pound for those couple years. It was really just me stopping by once a week, dropping stuff off, picking stuff up, and that was basically it. Was it made me more legit in that way, having that spot, having an actual spot for people to come by instead of them coming to my house.
So, and I know Fran is the one that found you.
Fran, for sure, man.
So Fran he's actually over here. He's filming today. He's been with us for a long time as well.
Fran?
That's right.
I always give credit to Fran for finding a few different people, but how did that happen?
That was the universe, man. So this is around the time where I was burnt out, dude. I was over it. I wanted to stop doing what I was doing just because I was waking up to that stuff, sleeping to that stuff. The work was endless. I had mountains of shoes, and I think you remember when I first moved into this building, I had a lot of shoes everywhere, and I had clients hitting me up all the time. So
and you weren't charging the right price.
Exactly, So with all that being said, I was just over it, done, trying to figure something else out, and that's just kind of when Fran and Rob knocked on the door. I remember that year I think the Super Bowl was here in Arizona. The Super Bowl, there was a Super Bowl event through the Heated Soul. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I went to that.
Yeah, you were there. Fran and Robert was there too, and not this Robert, the other Rob. And
were you already working for us when that Super Bowl? No,
not yet. That's kind of what sparked the whole thing, and I still remember that conversation.
Gotcha.
I was, I did a custom for one of the players of the Patriots. That was kind of cool. But I was just kind of walking around, saying what's up to everybody, and I was talking to Rob. And Rob, I think at that point, Rob and Fran already talked beforehand, about potentially, doing videos around me. So Rob, at that event, threw me the idea of possibly, doing videos, having an office at your guys' spot. And before all that, Rob already gave me some stuff to do restorations on. Raging Bull 5s, a couple easy stuff. So I was already had a small relationship going on with Rob. So I remember before that going into the old Rejuvenator headquarters and just walking around and seeing all that, I'm like, damn, this place is so freaking cool. And I remember going into Fran's old office, which became my studio. And I remember seeing that. I'm like, dude, it'd be so cool to work here. And that was a year before I joined Rejuvenator. So I remember.
Was a year before?
Yeah, it was a year before. So I remember walking in. I still remember that feeling, dude. I was walking in, going to that hallway, looking at that office. There was a big window right there.
It's later became my office.
Yeah, that'd be so cool to work here. A year later, dude, I'm there. But yeah, at that event, Rob pitched me the idea of making videos, having an office there, and it sounded all cool, but it didn't sound too official the way he was pitching it. So I didn't take it too seriously, but I know it was in the back of my mind, and I didn't give him a straight answer. So it wasn't.
Why did it take a year?
So when we had that conversation, that was in February or something, or March.
Yep. Super Bowl.
When I visited the headquarters the first time, that was the summer before that.
Okay.
And I was doing work, just little restorations here and there. So we're in February, March when they sparked that conversation. It isn't until a couple months later, I think, we talk about it again and again. Nothing too official. wasn't till later down the line where like Fran and Rob, Fran really hit me up and he was like, dude, I'm going to find somebody else. If you don't give me a straight answer right now, are you going to do it or not?
There you go,
This
Fran.
is like around November, you know, and I'm like, fuck. All right, I'm in. You know, let's do it. This is November.
At this point, though, Steve, how long was Resjuvenator already on YouTube before you brought Vick on?
Like on YouTube consistently?
Yeah.
That's a question for Fran. I don't even know. I mean, I did YouTube videos when I first started, but I wasn't like doing them consistently. I would say it probably started with him, I guess. Yeah, the series started with him, and then we started doing cleaning videos. So it's probably about the same time that we really started getting things going. Because I remember Fran coming to me and like, hey, man, I think we should bring this guy on. We can create content. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Let's figure out a way to make it happen. So I didn't realize that, you know, that conversation had been going for so long.
Yeah, there's like little conversations Rob and Fran just kind of throwing at me, but I never gave him a straight answer, nor did I ever feel like it was anything real until Fran approached me like around November, October time. And I joined the company right after Thanksgiving, 2015, November. So Thanksgiving weekend passed by. That Monday, I packed all my stuff into my car and took over Fran's old office. So before all that, you know, we just kind of sat down, Fran and I, talked about what I could be doing for Resjuvenator. And at the time, like, I was pretty nervous, you know, just because I'd never been on camera, never done any of that stuff.
We should in this video, we should bring up one of his first videos.
That's right.
At least talk about it. Tell us, what was the first video you did for the channel?
So I packed all my stuff that Monday, had all my stuff set up at the new office. I think the following day or two, Fran and I just sat down for like a good 2 to 3 weeks and just knocked out 7 to 8 videos. That way, 2016, the first Monday, we have, you know, a video to get it going, and for at least for 2 months, because this is the time where Fran was leaving back to Philadelphia, you know, so we had to shoot all these different videos, have them locked and ready for the month of January and February.
I didn't realize those were right at that same time.
Yeah,
so
it was all happening at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
A lot was going on during that time.
Yeah, there was a lot happening.
You know, so we did all those videos that week. It was a long 2 weeks for Fran and I, and like I remember sitting down. It didn't hit me that I'd never been on camera until like Fran turned off the lights. It was just 3 lights beaming on me. Fran, you know, does this 3, 2, 1, go, and like I froze, dude. I froze so bad, and I froze for the rest of the following 3 years or so.
It was 3 years.
Yeah, it took me.
He definitely struggled to.
I still struggle.
Yeah, but you're so much better than you were.
Oh, dude, 100%. Yeah. You know, it was a rough year. You know, it was.
So give me a clap for persevering and challenging himself and not quitting, because a lot of people just fucking quit. Yeah, this isn't for me. I don't like being on camera. It's a little too nerve-wracking for me, but you stuck it out and grinded it.
Yeah, dude, I wanted it. You know, I wanted to work there. I wanted to be there. That's all. You know, I still want to be here. So I still suck in front of the camera. I still have a rough time being in front of the camera. You know, that's the part of my job that I have a hard time with to this day. Yeah. But that doesn't take away from me wanting to do it, you know.
Yeah, well, that's challenging yourself, and you're going to be a better person.
100%. So, 2015 knocked out like 7 to 8 videos, those 2 weeks with Fran. At the time, dude, like, I did those videos, and I basically just went home, you know. Like, there was nothing else for me to do there. It was I was in and out of the office, not really there consistently. I was kind of just hanging out because I now started getting a check from a company, you know, so I wasn't, like, relying on having to be hands-on every single day. So, like, that November, December, and January were, like, two or three of the chillest months I've ever had once I knocked out those videos, because I was able to unwind from doing all those restorations from, like, 3 years back to back to back. I now had a different source of income coming my way. But I was super nervous, though, because we did all those videos, but I wasn't sure how the audience was going to, you know, accept, you know, like they could just hate the videos or get no views.
Who was there anybody else doing it at this time?
It was just
Retro Snickers.
That was probably our biggest competition, and for years we would always go look at his analytics, compare ourselves to him.
He worked with us, which was another thing that Fran brought me. I'm like, so there weren't many people doing it.
Different time for sure, and just in general, there wasn't too many sneaker YouTubers, you know, doing this kind of stuff. There was, but not as much as there is now.
Yeah, of course. It's a lot's changed. I'd be curious to look back at those videos too to see how many views, if they're still all live. I'm sure they are.
100%. Like the Retro Snicker videos or ours?
No, ours.
I'm pretty sure they are, man, because I get a lot of messages still about people wanting to remember we used to sell paint to ceilings and
yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
People still hit me up for that kind of stuff.
really?
I'm like,
Yeah.
bro, it's been a few years now.
Yeah.
But yeah, those people still follow those videos. The cool thing about those videos is that there's good knowledge in them. So like a lot of people just want to know how to restore a basic Black Cement 3 or a basic Jordan 1. You know, a lot of people are not dealing with rare sample OVO 8s that we're dealing with now. So those videos,
It's timeless.
Those videos are timeless too.
Yeah.
You know, people can go back to them for years, and the knowledge is there.
So when did you first see one of these videos and see like the traction and be like, damn?
I think the first one, man.
Really?
Yeah, I think the first one, you know, like I realized that there was comments, there was not people, you know, talking shit. They had decent views. I think the first couple ones, you know, it eased my nervousness about the whole thing. You know, like I really thought that nobody was going to tune in. After about a month, after the videos get pumped out, I'm back to where I was at, just, you know, working from home. But luckily, people tuned in. People supported, and you know I was able to stick around for another 7-8 years.
Here you are.
Still do what I do.
You almost left a couple times, which we can get into later. But, so at that point, you're like, man, this is kind of working. So
100%.
I like this.
I like it, dude. You know, and like besides the fact I was getting a little famous, you know, like I remember at the time, like people calling the phone.
Yeah,
you know, there was a phone in the shipping
helps.
shipping room, you know, and like I remember Akil, Adon, like, hey, dude, you're a freaking superstar. You're getting the calls and stuff. So I remember that, like, for sure boosting me up a little bit, and you know, just doing that, getting in front of an audience, doing what I do still. You know, I didn't have to change my job. I still did what I did, just in front of a camera now. So all of that just, you know, really amped me up, dude.
Awesome.
What about your first sneaker con? I'm sure once you walked into a first sneaker con and just seen all these people come up to you and were like, yo, you're Vick.
I don't know if it was the first one, but the most memorable one was 2016 New York Sneaker Con. I think that was a big one. Yeah, dude. I remember that one. That was my first time in New York.
Was that the one with 2 different rooms?
I don't remember, to be honest. I think that was a different one.
Okay.
It was a big one, though. It was a 2-day
few.
event.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, you know, came and said what's up, took pictures, and that was just a cool, unbelievable experience, you know. And
it's interesting because you're kind of a pioneer in that space because, like you said, a lot of people do that now.
Yeah, dude, for sure.
But you were one of the first. Like, I remember talking to many customizers, even guys that we've had, and they're like, I started by watching Vick.
I hear that a lot too, man, and it's really freaking cool. Like, it's crazy to believe that 7 years have gone by, you know.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 7 years have gone by, and we've never really missed a beat, you know. We have every single Monday a new video for the last. That's a lot of videos, bro. You know, and like
on that note, this one might be our 1000th video. Monday. Well, but we're putting this out tomorrow. This is our 1000th video right here.
Clap it up for that.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we need this by tomorrow.
Get on that.
Yeah, we need this by tomorrow.
And think about it though, like that's a lot of man hours, bro. And I know you know that. Like,
yeah.
Filming wise, talent wise, editing wise, like I wonder how many hours in total it took Rejuvenator to make these videos possible. It's obviously hard to calculate, but I think about that all the time.
It's a lot.
I mean, what's a basic, like, just let's say a basic, one of your smaller videos that you knock out in a week that takes you 2 days?
It just depends, you know, because you got my man hours to consider, you got the videographers time to consider, editors time to consider, and graphic designers time to consider. So
and I think, sorry to cut you off, I think it's typically almost a week to edit one of his videos.
Yeah.
It just depends, you know, how big of a project it is for sure.
Because of all the content and video, you know, film that we got.
You know, switching the subject a little bit, well, it's kind of talking about what we're talking about now. It's what we do is pretty special, dude, because I don't think anywhere else in the world can do what we do. You know, like we have high production. We have somebody like me that's willing to put in the hours in front of the camera and deliver a sick, sweet project. We have a company like Rejuvenator that's able to fund the whole thing. We have a platform of 1.5 million subscribers, you know, an audience. So like all those things together, I don't think any other business can possibly, you know.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. It's one of the things that I'm most proud of.
I take a lot of pride in that.
When people ask about the business, and it's like, you gotta check out our YouTube channel.
Yeah, man.
1.5 million subscribers.
Yeah, dude.
And counting.
And it's like 50 million views a year or something. There's a lot of people watching it. So.
Yeah, dude. YouTube's everything.
Yeah, that's dope. So let's go into it, because I know that that's the start, and I know that there's been some times that you've wanted to leave, and you and I haven't really had this conversation because it's always through somebody else. And I know that part of it probably is, obviously we all love Fran. Fran's a big, he creates a big impact on the business just from ideas and just his work ethic. Yeah. And I know that, you know, the story with Rob, and that didn't work out with Rob. And then Fran obviously left. Our next guy was Jake, who got his first video got torn apart.
Yeah, he got
and
shredded.
It wasn't that bad. It was just different.
Too much movement.
Yeah.
I remember that video.
Too much style. So walk through, how many times have you thought about like leaving the business?
Yeah.
Just tell me a little bit about it.
For sure. I mean, I've had my struggles with it for sure. Sometimes, you know, like it comes in phases, you know, like over the years, we've had a lot of different videographers. Yep. So we've had a lot of changes too. You know, we've gone through a lot in the last 7-8 years, you know, going back to like 2019, 2020, where we were going to the rebrand. I had no set for like a year. You know, I was going to Jake's living room for like a week or two, jumping to Quinn's living room for a couple weeks. You know, shooting in the corner of the old setup over there.
Yeah, with everyone talking and just business going on.
Moving my boxes everywhere, you know. So that was a tough year before we finally got this new spot set up.
Yeah.
In my opinion, that was probably like one of the roughest years that I've had here.
That was when Quinn was here. Yeah.
That was when Quinn was here. Before that, just throughout the years, we've had 8 different videographers, 8 or 9 or so. And I'm lucky, though, that they've all been really cool people. I still have relationships with them to this day. You know, I can name all of them. You know, Francis, OG, then you got Jake, then you got Aaron Gina, then you got Lee, then you got Chris, then you got Jake again, then you got Keegan, then you got Shelly, then you got, I think, Fran again, and then you got Miguel, you got Connor. That's a lot of dudes, man, but they're all really cool people. I still talk to them to this day, and like that's probably talking about all those people, that's probably also one of the biggest blessings of working at Rejuvenated the last 8 years. I've met a lot of cool people. You know, I still have relationships with a lot of those people, Quinn, Doug, tons of people. So that's one of the coolest things about working here. But going back to the videographers and stuff, it's hard transitioning at the time to a different person because, again, I'm not great on camera or wasn't. I'm good now, but back then, I would get comfortable with one person. That person and I would have a system, you know, that person would help me out. So it was always kind of a bummer to know that person was leaving and I would have to possibly work with somebody that I don't know, don't vibe really well with or whatever. And it's always a process too, working with somebody new. They are not familiar with the process. So I have to have extra patience. I have to guide them with certain stuff. So that part is always challenging, but I've gotten used to it over the years. You know, I've gone through a lot of different teams for good and bad reasons. But I've been able to adapt to that over the years to where I don't feel like that as much anymore.
Yeah, you're growing up too.
For sure.
You're a little more mature.
For sure.
That's the thing about videographers is videographers, a lot of the people that have left for one reason or another, videographers want to go work for themselves and do different things and filming the same thing over and over and over. They're typically creative people. So it's hard. They get burned out.
For sure, dude.
Yeah. So I like the system that we've had. And obviously Fran adds more to it than just a videographer, especially when he was doing it, because he's got ideas. And I know that there was a point in time too, which I'm sure this is probably part of that, is the YouTube channel wasn't really doing that well.
And that's the thing too. We didn't have the right people on the team as well. And that's also very unmotivating.
Of course. I understand.
Because, you know, I want to put in a lot, but at the same time, like, I need the team around me to also match that energy and want to be as great as I am. So at the time, like, I was doing good stuff, but the views weren't there. Just the rest of the stuff wasn't quite there. And that was really frustrating because I know there wasn't much I can do on my end, you know, because I can't get behind a computer.
Well, and you're only one person.
And I'm only one person. To make this, what we do, possible, it requires a team. Like, everybody sees me in front of the camera. I get a lot of credit for what I do, but it wouldn't be possible without the team we have.
I totally agree.
You know,
there's a lot that goes in.
This isn't a solo act at all. You know, Fran, you know, today's team right now, Fran, you know, he's mans everything behind the computer, uploads the video, make sure the keywords are on point, thumbnails, all that kind of stuff. We have an amazing photographer, Nick Wilson. Kayla, she shoots my videos today. You know, she's awesome. She's on point with it. We got Zion. He edits my videos. So that's a whole team right there. That's like 5 people, 6 people to make a video possible.
Yeah,
so
not even including graphic designer, like when you need help in the machine to
when
engrave.
there's more editors. Usually it's a rough edit or a final edit.
Yeah.
And back in the day, it just was Fran. I don't even know how he did it, but he would shoot it and edit it.
When we first started, it was a
Yeah,
2-man team.
crazy.
It was just me and Fran.
Yeah, it's so wild because that was one of the challenges that I had as I hired people after Fran. When you got someone that's such a workhorse and works 15 hours a day, and then you got someone coming in, I'm like, man, we used to do this with one person. Why do we need 3?
And dude, Fran's probably the reason why I worked so hard that first year, because I was able to have that other person next to me,
Of course,
to push me. You know, like to make sure we are getting shit done. You know how Fran is. So like to not get it done isn't an option.
Yeah,
so
it's a good model for work ethic.
100%. And like we worked really closely together the first couple years. You know, we split for a little while. He came back, and like when he brought him back on, like back in 2001, 2 years ago now or so.
Yeah, I don't remember.
That was game changing for me.
Yeah, I'm sure.
You know, because I knew what that would do for the channel and for me. And to this day, dude, I'm super thankful that you brought Fran back. You know,
well, you got about a year left.
I know, man. We got about a year left to do all the cool shit in the world.
We'll see. We'll see what we can manage.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. But yeah, dude, I definitely need to give a lot of credit to Fran for having me on, getting me on the team. And dude, like he is behind the YouTube. He's in charge of the YouTube stuff, but like him knowing sneakers, him having good taste in shoes is also everything. Because when he's filming my projects, he'll be watching me like, dude, you could probably do this better, or you should do something different. You know, like last week we had a big collaborator here. We did 2 big projects. His name was Jordan Diab. Cool, we did cool projects, but Fran stepped in a couple times to suggest a couple different things that we were not going to do.
Yeah.
If we didn't go that direction, we would have not had the outcomes that we had today.
Yeah.
So like that's also a big thing that I got to give credit to Fran.
No, I totally agree.
You know?
And I think that's part of one of the reasons that the YouTube channel kind of took a dive for a period of time, because the level of care wasn't there, right?
That's the thing, man.
Like Shelly doesn't give a shit about shoes.
That's the thing, dude. Like, so like when it comes to what we do, you know, I talked about all the different components to make the thing possible, but it requires also a lot of care from the people, you know, like
you got to give a shit.
You got to really give a shit to make this thing possible. Fran gives a shit. I give a shit. You give a shit.
If you want to be good,
if you want to be good, if you want to take it to where it's at now, like you got to really like not clock out at 5 o'clock. You know, it doesn't end at 5 o'clock. You really got to.
Hey, on the record, I give a shit.
You do too.
Robert gives a shit
totally
too.
Agree. Yeah, no, I
Most
totally
of the people here on the team,
I
give
100%.
You know, they care, dude. Like we've done a good job over the years of getting the right people for the most part.
And just to let the viewers know, like they just finished a project, the one he was talking about with Jordan. They were here till 4:30 in the morning finishing a project.
Wow. Yeah,
I mean, you're working all day and till 4:30 in the morning. I mean, that's pretty dedicated.
And they came back, right? 10 to 7 o'clock at night.
So tired that day. But it sets a good example, too, man, for the rest of the guys here. Like, it's not why I do it, but I realize that it also
it's got to get done.
Encourages other people to just put in that extra 10% of work, you know, to get it done.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you staying, because I know there's been a couple times, and outside of having good ideas and stuff, I know he lends you his ear, and you can voice your frustrations and stuff that you might not be able to with other people. And just so you know, this has been a learning experience for me. Like I never ran a business before. I just started this business, and I'm learning as I go. So I'm a totally different leader than I was back in that old building.
100%, bro.
And even before you got here, I mean, I used to get in fights with Rob and Fran about shit. Like,
I remember,
let's spend this money. I'm like, dude, we can't spend that money. We don't have it.
I was only there for one where like you and Fran started going at it a little bit outside of Foot Locker in New York. I forgot what
I don't remember. The thing that I love about Fran, we'll have to bring him in on another podcast.
You have to.
Is
saying
Fran is one of the employees that isn't afraid to speak his mind to me.
Yeah.
And we can do that like argument thing and battle a little bit. We're like, there's no hard feelings at all.
Yeah.
Like we're expressing ourselves. And both of us probably could do a better job of how we do that, but it's still, when it's done, it's done. Like I've never had a conversation with Fran that we kind of got into a little argument that afterwards I'm like, fuck that guy. Yeah. Never.
No. And you're not that kind of guy either, from what I've seen over the years. And
that's true. Well, depends on what you do.
Depends on who.
There might be one or two people.
Yeah,
I know,
depends on what you do.
Like, I guess, never mind.
Depends on what. If you do me wrong, like, I'm done. I don't have time for that shit.
I
Right?
can think of 2 examples off the top of my head.
I'm sure you could. But anyways, yeah. So thank you for sticking it out. I think
For sure,
good
man.
things still to come, and
100%.
seeing all the things that other people are doing too. I'm like, man, we there's so much more opportunity for us with this. Even still, like we have not reached the tipping
Potential.
point.
Yeah,
No.
there's so much.
Yeah. So
It's tough though, man. We do a lot now, and like,
yeah. Well, I have some ideas, so we'll
Now's your chance to express it. Tell him you need a bigger budget.
budgets are fine.
Well, yeah. I mean, come put it on paper, motherfucker. Show me.
I know Robert's trying to be slick through me.
But yeah, I'm always open to look at a pitch, But if you just say, "Hey, I need this, that, and the other," and you don't have why, and like give me some sort of reason and some sort of plan, I'm gonna say, go get a plan
100%.
and come back.
Yep.
Want to talk about back to you though, Vic. What is your most memorable custom? Obviously, you've done hundreds of them over the last 7 to 10 years.
Because I know that's hard. Give me top 3.
Top 3. Here we go.
Top 3.
Doesn't have to be the best, just memorable.
One of the first ones that come to mind is that Beast Mode project that we did.
Pretty cool.
It's a cool one that came together.
Yeah.
Steve and I flew out to Oakland.
That was
checked
sick.
out the whole.
Went to the game.
Went to the home opening game.
That was fun.
The energy was there. We went to Beast Mode store, hung out with him for a sec, filmed, delivered the shoes, took a picture with him. He signed the shoe, came back to Phoenix. We had a dope video.
That was the one where we did the
Laser engraved teeth.
The teeth, yeah.
That was during that Black Panther.
Yeah.
Killmonger
Those were sick.
time. So yeah, that's definitely one of my favorite projects. That's the only custom I have displayed in my room.
Okay.
And I probably care about it so much. Yeah, I like that one a lot.
Okay.
The Suns custom I just did, the Jordan 4s.
Pretty sick.
I put in not too much, but I put in way too much time into those shoes.
Yeah.
40 hours at least per pair. Did 3 pairs, 160 hours right there.
Have you done
420 hours? Yet? I just got the pair yesterday. I ordered them. So
I posted that on my personal Facebook page, and a bunch of people from Tucson were like, "Can I buy these?" I'm like, "No."
I got so many people hitting me up.
Really?
And I didn't even want to do the 3rd pair, but it was for the marketing director of the Suns, and he's such a good guy, and I didn't want to pass up on that. And I told myself, not no more. Like, I can't do more than 3 pairs. It's too much. I don't even like doing I don't like doing the same custom more than once, too.
Yeah.
I'm just over it. I'm ready to move on to the
So
next
you see
project.
Steve Nash in the comments.
So, but
I
that
couldn't
note,
pass up on that.
On that note, because I've been saying this for so many years, where's your apprentice, man? All these guys that are doing customs and they're doing multiple pairs, they all have people working underneath them.
Dude, I mean, the closest person that I can think of is, what's his name? Mark.
Okay.
He, from what I've seen, like, there's only 2 people here in Phoenix that I can think of, Pedro and Mark.
Okay.
But they have their stuff going on as well. Pedro has his whole business, and, like, Pedro's really good, but at the same time, like, he still lacks that attention to detail that I care about. He has attention to detail, but not that extra little,
Not many people do that, though.
They don't, And Mark's probably the closest person to being an apprentice for me. He does really clean work. You saw when he came in here 5 minutes before we started the podcast, asking me for directions to make sure he does it right. Yeah. And I'm confident he's going to do it probably even better because has attention for detail. But it's hard getting a person that's willing to,
Well, let's work on that.
Let's work on that. But at the same time, too, like, what I do isn't exactly just shoe stuff. It's like the video side of stuff, too. Like, most of my time throughout the week goes into the video side of things. The apprentice there's not much for him to do in that area,
Well, I have some ideas. We'll talk about it after this.
Let's talk about them now.
Well, because, for instance, when we're doing a custom, we're typically only doing one because it takes so long to do them.
Yep.
That if we can do them both, then we have opportunities to do something with those shoes that we don't personally now, as make them, we do gifts to, athletes or whatever the case may be. But it alleviates some of that burden from you that they can help you, and then we can do more with the shoe. Because, like you said, if you only do the left shoe, it can only really be on display. There's nothing else you can do with that shoe.
For the most part.
It's a size 9.
Yeah, then he does too, obviously. Yeah.
Here's the thing, that a lot of the times I do the custom in size 9, but I don't wear them just because I have too many cool shoes that there's no reason for me to put on a piece of art. But it is nice to know that they're in a size 9.
Well, I want to get you some sort of apprentice that we can start doing just more things. So if
do a casting call.
Well, if the opportunity presents itself, well, the thing is, you got to have the drive. Like, you need to kind of come in here and work for free.
And I haven't seen that from anybody. You know, a lot of people know I'm here. I haven't seen somebody come.
Well, if anyone's listening and they want to learn how to do this and come in and learn and work for free to do that, I mean, hit us up.
I wouldn't say free though. Like the knowledge that I have for you guys, like I'm willing to share all this knowledge.
Well,
with you guys.
No. But I'm saying if you want if you can come in here and learn and not be compensated financially, we will look into that, and we may take you up on that offer.
Yeah, I'm big on drive too. You know, like I haven't seen anybody reach out like that. Like, hey, I'm in Phoenix. I really want to work under you. What do I have to do to make that happen? I haven't seen that from anybody.
Well, unfortunately, that isn't that common. So
it's not common.
Interesting story, and I don't want to get too far off sidetrack, but when I went to that concert with Tino Cucino, I heard his story. His business partner, they're totally independent. They don't work with the radio station anymore, but he told me the story of Tino Cucino, some young kid that he met somewhere that said, hey, I want to be on the radio, and started sending him CDs. And he's like, man, I don't have a space, but you're pretty good.
Yeah.
And he just kept going and
Every
kept
single
going.
day,
Yeah, and kept giving him CDs. And when the opportunity presented itself, he hit him up. He said, hey, are you ready? And he brought him in and basically hired him on the spot.
That's freaking sick.
Yeah, but because he was so persistent in what he wanted to do.
At a young age. And if you're passionate about something, you're going to put that drive in. Like, look at Vic. He said he hasn't done anything except restore sneakers and clean shoes and do customs since 7th grade.
Yeah, that's wild.
He's 27, 28.
It's dope.
Yeah, dude.
And
Look at him.
So
That
we
drive.
didn't finish I guess we didn't
Number
finish
3.
the customs. Yeah,
we got
sorry.
number 3.
Customs. So yeah, Suns was number 2. Third one, damn, the third one was probably tough. Custom? You said custom?
I mean, custom restorations, memorable projects.
Yeah. It's got to be something with a collaborator. Maybe the 85 Jordan 1 build with Max. I mean, that should look spot on to an 85 Jordan 1. And
Better than the movies.
yeah, dude, they should have hit a Max or, Mercury for those 85 Jordan 1s. But I don't know, man. The third one's kind of up in the air. There's a lot of cool projects. Like all the collaborator projects are up there for me.
Of course.
All the other ones that are not collaborators that I can't think of right now are pretty special. I'll leave that one in the air, but for sure top 2 as of right now, Beast Mode and that Suns Air Jordan 4.
Yeah, they're both really dope.
Yeah. And Suns Jordan simply just because I've never put in that much detail into another different custom.
It's very detailed, so we'll have to flash one of those probably up on this podcast so people can see it if they haven't.
And I'm about to put in another 40 hours into Steve Nash's pair in the next couple of weeks, so...
Are you going to do anything different for his? Like put his number on it?
I might add like a little detail, like 2-time MVP type thing, laser engrave it onto the shoe somewhere. Nothing too crazy.
In the tongue or something?
Yeah, something subtle.
So if someone wanted to buy a pair of those, what would you charge for them?
Well, I mean, the Suns are, they're paying like $2,500 per pair, so you're not the Suns, so $3,000.
So $3,000?
At least $3,000 for sure.
You might get somebody to hit you up for those because they're pretty sick.
$3,000, I'll drop 40 hours anytime.
Of course, yeah. I mean, shit, me too.
Yeah,
I'll come be your apprentice.
Yeah. So yeah, top 3 customs for sure, man. And like, dude, talking about customs and stuff, like, there's so many cool projects that I want to do this year, especially because like I'm aware that friends, not to say that we're not going to do cool stuff afterwards.
Of course.
But it's been a lot easier to do certain stuff with him on board. So, like, I've been thinking of so many cool different projects, that we're going to do this year. Like, one of them being that I was talking to Fran before we got on here is this Jordan 3 low that was made for Kobe Bryant. So it's a 1-of-1. This was made by Nike designer Mark Smith. Mark Smith is a huge designer. He's up there with Tinker Hatfield and stuff. He's been with the brand for years. He's retired from Nike and Jordan brand now, but he's works closely with Michael Jordan to this day. Have you guys seen the new NBA trophies that they updated?
No.
So they one of the trophies I got updated was the MVP trophy. Yeah. It used to be did it have a specific name besides MVP?
I can't think of it right now.
Well, they updated it to Michael Jordan's.
I think I did read something about that. Yeah.
So it's a Michael Jordan MVP award
logo,
now, and it has MJ holding like a crystal ball. Yeah. The designer of that was Mark Smith. Okay. He worked closely with MJ. So anyway, Mark Smith is really big in the world of Nike when it comes to like laser engraving and stuff. Like a lot of the shoes that you see today from years in the past, if it's laser engraved directly from Nike, chances are Mark Smith worked on that shoe.
Like the Laser 4s?
Are we talking about Randy's pair, the same?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's Mark
Keep
Smith.
going.
That's
Yeah,
Mark
yeah,
Smith as
yeah,
well.
yeah.
You see those other Air Force Ones, Entourages?
Yeah.
That's also Mark Smith.
Yep.
So I have a good friend that I also do a lot of work for. I've known him for years. His name's Brian. He has a massive collection, very private about his stuff. Has cleats on top of cleats, just all types of stuff you've never seen in the past.
Like game worn
cleats and stuff. Golf cleats that belong to MJ himself.
Yeah,
there were
like
samples, just
PE.
Just rare stuff. Just because he's been in the game for so long and knows the right people. But he's really good friends with Mark Smith, and I'm pretty good friends with Brian. So Brian is the one that wants to get this Jordan 3 made.
Okay.
It's this Jordan 3 low. I'll show you guys a picture of it right now. It's super unique. It's a low top version, with a bunch of laser engraving all around the sneaker. We're going to remake that this summer. So it's kind of like, it's going to require a lot of people to make this project possible, because the only person that's ever made that shoe is Mark Smith.
Okay.
And there's a unique pattern all around the shoe. And then we need help reconstructing the Jordan 3 low. And then we need somebody to engrave all the different parts. So with all that being said, Brian, he is a big collector. He's the one that wants this project done, but he's also big into laser engraving. He runs a business, making custom boxes for, wine bottles and stuff. So he's done a lot of cool boxes in the past, and he's good on the laser engraver. He's really good friends with Mark Smith. So Mark Smith was really cool to let him have the pattern.
Oh, wow.
The exact pattern that came from
sick.
Nike. Yeah. So he's going to fly out here when we do that project. He's from California. He's really good with the laser engraver. Okay. He's going to engrave and cut all the parts on camera and stuff directly using Mark Smith's pattern. I'm thinking for this project, Dane Customs is going to come out here and help us again with the Jordan 3 low build of it. We have the donor already. We just got to get the materials. We have the laser engraving pattern as well. What's really cool, too, is that there's only 2 pictures in the world,
of the shoe.
There's only 2 angles. The side point of view of Kobe holding the shoe and, like, the heel part. That's basically it. That's all the internet has ever seen. We were able to get another picture directly from Mark Smith of the tongue area, and it shows a number 8 with a thunderbolt and a shield. I would have never guessed that was on the tongue. So now we have everything we need to recreate the shoe. We have the images. Wow. We have Brian.
Who owns the original pair? Kobe's family? Yeah.
Kobe's family, probably. Yeah. I'm not sure where it's at now. But we're just going to recreate it.
When's that project happening?
We're trying to make it happen in the summer, so we'll need Dank to help us.
Soon, it's fucking getting hot.
It's coming around the corner, man.
But Dank, he's always so busy, right?
I've talked to him already. He's because we were originally going to recreate Randy's pair, because he was really excited about recreating a Jordan 3 low with the dunk sole. But this is 10 times better, dude. This is a Kobe Bryant related project. Exactly. Kobe Bryant related project. We have the exact patterns from Mark Smith.
That's fucking really cool.
And we have I have a screenshot of him giving us his blessing of us. He's cool with us recreating his shoe.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So with all that being said, it sounds like a really cool project. Awesome. And nobody's ever done it before. So yeah, there's like a lot of cool stuff I still want to do.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right on.
Sounds sick.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
in the works, man.
That's awesome. That's really dope.
Next month, not next month, June, we are talking about going to JBF's studio in Cleveland. JBF's big and some customs, been at it for years. He has like one of the sickest studios ever. All types of machines and stuff. He's down to film a video showing us how to build one of his shoes. So again, that's more stuff that nobody out there is doing.
Yeah. I mean, the JBF thing, he's been around for so long. I don't even know if the youngsters would even know who he is.
They're going to know him for sure. But yeah, dude. Yeah,
that's cool.
I don't think so.
Yeah,
right.
I love to hear all that stuff. So anything that I can do to help and assist, just let me know.
For sure. I know you're always on board.
Yeah, that's dope. So you have anything else to tell us?
We've been all over the place for sure. Yeah. We talked about my journey. We talked about the up and downs that I've had here at Rejuvenator. We haven't really finished any of the conversations, but we've been, we've had some good stuff, It depends. I have way more to talk about. It just depends on what you guys want to hear.
Well, I don't know. What do you want to hear?
I mean, I've heard a lot of stuff I've heard before, some stuff I haven't heard. So I definitely just appreciate you just dropping all this knowledge
All
for
right.
us.
I got some questions for y'all.
There you go.
All right.
Let's do that.
All right, let's start with Steve.
Okay.
So how are you feeling, Steve?
How am I feeling?
Yeah, how you feeling right now?
Like today?
Today.
I feel good.
All right, man, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, so how is everything with just everything, dude? So, like, you handle a lot, bro. You handle, what people don't realize, it's not just Resjuvenator. You got Resjuvenator. You got Many Worlds. You got Grear Investments to worry about. You got your employees to worry about. You got numbers to worry about. You got this, and that to consider, and this and whatever else I'm not thinking about, family, and this and that. So, that's a lot, dude. Like, I'm always curious on like how the adults, and I say adults because that's adult shit to me, you know, like I'm such a freaking kid. I don't have any of that stuff
Yeah,
underneath me.
you still live at home.
I still live at home, you know, I have it good for the most part, you know, like I got a great team a lot of resources that help make my life easier, you know. I know you do too, but I always think about that stuff, you know, with like older people and people like Steve, CEOs and shit, where like they have a family, they have a business, they have 50 things to worry about. Like, how the fuck do you do it?
Good question. And I think that you evolve. And really, it's all about the team. Like, if you have people on your team like Fran and certain of our other employees that I know that, hey, I don't need to worry, right? Like, I just come in and maybe make some suggestions, or like, hey, can we do this a little different, or but I know that it's going to get done. That is very helpful. Trust me. Without a good team, I'd be ready to freak out.
For sure.
So that's, I think, probably number one. And it's really just do it. I don't know. I just fucking put one foot in front of the other, and, you know, I kind of go where the problem, I'm basically a problem solver.
Yeah. You have to be.
Yeah, so today we were talking about our fulfillment center and all the issues we're having with them, and how the cost of shipping has doubled in the last 3 years. And so I'll give you kind of an example. We're trying to get a credit back from these guys because it's saying that it shipped. We have 2 fulfillment centers, one in Salt Lake City, one in Atlanta. Well, we have that so we can ship faster to the East Coast from Atlanta and faster to the West Coast from Salt Lake City. Well, their invoice says that they're shipping products from Salt Lake City to the East Coast, but their website is saying that it's shipping from Atlanta. So if they're shipping the products from Salt Lake City to the East Coast, we're overpaying for shipping because those should really be coming from Atlanta. So this is just one issue that happened that has been going on that we're trying to figure out today. So it's really figuring things like that out and then just trying to figure out the solution to it. So really it's just problem solving. And I wish that I could be more present. Like, Many Worlds, your brother is managing Many Worlds. That is kind of an afterthought, but I do know that when I put my energy into that and it becomes a priority, that's the thing, is you can only do so many things at once.
And how do you know when it's time to switch, you know, focuses? Because again, like, that's how I feel too. Like, I wish I could be more present in certain things, you know, but when I'm in design mode or video mode, I'm just focusing on that and fuck everything else.
So there's a good book called The E-Myth that I think helps bring things into perspective, and it talks about really being the technician, which a lot of people that, like, for instance, a videographer, right? They want to go start their own videography business. So they are really a technician that does the work. But you need to be a manager and you need to be an entrepreneur and you need to be able to wear all the hats. And a lot of people get stuck in the technician role where they're just doing the work and they're not thinking like a manager or entrepreneur. So this book really helps you realize that they give an example of the fat guy, skinny guy. So picture this, you're on the couch, you're like, fuck, I got a belly like, you know, Rob over here or whatever. And one day you're like, man, I'm tired of this shit. I'm going to start working out, and you start working out and you start eating better and you start running and you do all these things. And then one day it rains and you don't go work out. And then the next day you don't go work out. So your skinny guy mentality just lost to the fat guy in your brain. And knowing that happens, it's the same with business. If you're a technician, you get stuck in the technician role. You have to realize, fuck, I'm in the technician role. I need to be a manager or the entrepreneur. So it's really, that book really helped me kind of figure out what state I need to be in and at which time based on what's going on.
Yeah.
So again, I don't know what I'm doing. I'll be honest with you. Again, I said, I never even graduated high school, bro. I have common sense, which I think is not that common. And I'm driven.
Yeah.
So I think those things help me too. And I'm very aware, like I'm self-aware. I know what my downfalls are. I know what I'm good at. I know what I'm not good at. So I'm not pretending to myself that I'm the best fucking CEO or manager or boss or whatever it is. I know that I have a lot of room to grow in all of these areas. And I think that's helpful too, because I'm not some egotistical jackass that thinks I'm the shit because I own a business, right? Like I feel like I'm the same person, just, evolving day by day. So I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, it's a good answer, man, for sure. I was always curious. I'm always curious about that stuff with,
Some days are harder than others, just like anything, though. We're human.
I think when you're in that position, you just know. Like,
you have no option.
You have no options. Yeah, either sink or swim. You just have to go with the flow, and you'll make it work. That's how I see it.
Well, you will or you won't.
You will or you won't. Yeah. Luckily, he's been doing it, so that's why we're here.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you guys talked about it in the past, in the last few episodes, but Steve, you're still a young buck. Like, what do you want to do after this? Like, I know, like, invest here, open up another business, but what do you want to do that?
Yeah. I mean, it depends. Like, I've been doing this 12, 13 years.
It's a long time.
Yeah. I think when we sell the business and whatever, if that happens and if my time and I'm free. I mean, I do have some other ideas. He told me his idea.
His is classified information.
It is classified just because if no one's done it yet, it's such a good idea because it's the same thing with Resjuvenator. I had a process. I used it. I thought, man, if I use this, there got to be other people that would be interested in this too, right? Because I'm skeptical. It's hard to sell me. You got to really prove me before I'm going to fucking buy into any bullshit. So I have an idea for an app that I don't know anything about the app industry, but I know that I would use it like religiously, and I can picture how you could do all of this in my brain.
You told me the idea. I know what you're talking about. I won't say it, but it's a good idea.
And it just helps people. Like, it's a tool to help you be a better person, be a better husband, better partner, whatever the case may be.
Stuff that doesn't come second nature to us.
And I would get back into music. Like, I'm even thinking about picking up a, guitar or learning how to. Yeah. So, like, that's one of the things that my long-term intentions is going to be. I don't know when I'm going to say, hey, this is the week that I'm going to start this. But I'd love to play music and,
it's a good one to, like, just unwind from the everyday stuff too.
And I want to be around for my daughter. My dad was not there. My mom worked all the time. Yeah. So just be more available, and take her to games and do all the shit that,
be the best dad possible.
Yeah. So, I mean, the reason that I started the business, one of the reasons I didn't like working for people, obviously, but also is freedom, right? Like, when you own a business, you are tied to it, but I don't need to ask anybody if I can go somewhere. Right?
Not at all.
So the freedom is one of the best reasons for owning a business. But it's also a lot of weight on your shoulders too. So you got to deal with certain things. Like I was telling him last podcast or the podcast before, the business lost $30,000 last year. We didn't make any money.
Yeah.
I have to deal with that all year. And
that's
what
I mean.
Are we going to fucking do?
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Well, you just got to figure it out. I don't know. I mean, really, it's just look at what we're doing wrong. Why could this be happening? And then put things in place that avoid that from happening again. And so far this year has been a much, much better year.
That's good. It's good to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I got that same question for you though, Vic. Where do you see yourself in the next 10 years? Do you just continue making content, or what's after Resjuvenator, after YouTube?
That's a good question, dude. I ask myself that all the time. Steve asked me that on my first week at Rejuvenator, like, where do you want to be at 5 years from now? I remember I was doing chores that first week. We were doing chores back then. I remember cleaning the shipping.
Rob still does chores.
Yeah, I clean the studio. But I was my first week on there. Like, if you're gonna work here, you gotta do chores. Cool.
Yeah.
You gotta clean the shipping department. I'm like, dude, I'm never in here. Like, why am I freaking cleaning this? But I was sweeping the whole thing. And you asked me, like, what do you want to do? Where do you want to be at in 5 years? I didn't have an answer for you at the time.
Yeah.
And I still kind of feel like I don't have an answer now, but I do know what I want to do is kind of what I'm doing now. Like, I'm really good at what I do. The industry, in my opinion, is still small. There's still a lot of room for growth, and I love what I do. Like, I have a lot of knowledge when it comes to different things, shoe related. I have knowledge when it comes to how to go about cleaning shoes with materials and stuff. I know about, cleaning products. I know so much about customization and stuff. I know how to fix things. I know.
What gives you the most energy, like, when you're doing a project? Is it doing a project for somebody else, or is it, like, what gives you the most energy when you're doing your thing?
When it's something new that hasn't been done before, if it's going to somebody that I know is going to appreciate it or get a smile. I don't like doing stuff where I know it's just, I don't. A lot of the videos that we do sometimes are just, to get the videos going, like. Some restorations is just because we have to keep the videos rolling. Those are just ones that I can do with my eyes closed. The ones that really hype me up are the bigger ones, the collaboration projects, because I know in those projects I'm able to collaborate with other people, bounce ideas, learn new things. The collaboration projects have been one of my favorite things about working at Rejuvenator, because I'm big on learning things, and like all I do for the most part is teach things, but I don't know everything. There's only so much I can show. So when I can learn new things or just learn a new thing on how to go about stuff or just a new technique, that's like stuff that excites me, and being able to do it or just problem solve during a project and like something's going wrong, I'm able to fix it. That gives me a lot of self-pleasure. Knocking out a video, that gives me self-pleasure. All that stuff just...
Do you have interest in doing customs for famous people, like some of the people out there that are doing that?
100%, yeah, but like not at that level where I'm like, again, going back to sitting down, just working, cranking out work.
Well, that's why you need
Well, what I see for you, Vic, we've actually had this conversation. I don't know, you brought it up actually. It was having the food channel, a channel that specializes just in food.
Yeah.
Music channel, MTV.
Yeah.
Music. If there was a sneaker channel, Vic would be primetime television of him restoring or customizing sneakers on like a sneaker network. There's no such thing as that, but with all the YouTubers that's on YouTube and just content creators, like that's where I do see the sneaker community going.
That's what I mean.
You brought that idea up to me, and I never thought about it till I heard you say it out loud, and I was like, that's primetime television, the Vick Almighty show.
It's like one of those things where you never know. The industry's so small. There is no network dedicated to just sneakers. Who knows? Next year, 10 years from now, a company wants to do that, and they reach out to all these people. They want a show where I'm the host. Who knows, What I do know is I want to continue doing what I do now, put out the videos, and I hope that, Rejuvenator or YouTube never goes anywhere for these videos to have a place to live forever, because I think these videos are timeless. 100%. It's kind of the big reason why I'm still doing them, because as long as YouTube and Rejuvenator is still up.
Yeah, you could show your kids. It's a really cool time.
And for everybody, for sure. and for everybody in the world, those videos will be there forever. They can learn good knowledge. That's why I do it for the most part. Something to outlive all of us.
And I just thought of something, and I think this is a pretty special moment in your career. And I'm curious to know where this falls in line of, experience, was winning the MTV fucking show.
All that, dude. Yeah. That shit was so sick. You know, like, I was just...
Tell us about that, because we really haven't had a conversation about it.
It was definitely one of those things where I knew I was leveling up just by flying out to LA, being in a whole different set. I'm used to the set that we have here. Yep. And like a lot of people, like I've been around the set for years, so like it's great and all, but like a lot of people that come here think it's like groundbreaking. What I thought was groundbreaking was the MTV set. You had cranes with cameras floating all around. You had
next level shit.
You had all these big screens with like producers and directors behind just watching what's going on, telling people to cut, do this and that. So it was so professional. You had a person, doing your makeup and stuff, making sure you're looking good. That experience on the production side, I was able to really appreciate because all of us are around production every single day. Yeah. All these other artists, they were just there for the artists, for the art sneaker side of things. I was there for all of it. The production, just seeing how they work, what we can possibly get to one day. All that stuff was just kind of like very eye-opening. The sneaker side of things, just, being contacted by MTV at first, dude, I was nervous. I was like, fuck, like, I'm going to get on the video and probably lose, to somebody that's really dope. Do I really want to do that, or do I really want to have the pressure of having X amount of time to execute something that's going to be pretty whack and it's going to be out there in the world of the MTV audience? That's the part that had me hesitated at first.
Did you, question doing it?
In my head, for sure.
In your head, but, like,
it was a no-brainer.
Was there ever a time that you were like, I don't know if I want to do this?
I almost questioned everything, like, fuck, do I really want to do this? But I always, for the most part, if in reality, it's just going to boost you up, I'll always do it for the most part. But
it's a good challenge opportunity.
Exactly. Like, there's just, you'd be dumb to pass up on stuff like that.
I would think you'd be,
I'd be asking myself, what do I want to do? Yeah. Like, what am I doing then?
Yeah, the whole time you'd be like, fuck, that whoever won, I wasn't even that good. I could have won that shit.
100%, bro. Yeah. But the cool thing was that it was there was some TV magic involved. Obviously, it goes back to the Food Channel as well. Like, and that's the cool thing about production. We get to see a lot of the things that a lot of people don't see or get to understand how it really operates. Food Channel stuff. Everything doesn't happen in those 30 minutes.
What's funny, because before we started doing production, now when I look at shows, I'm like, that's not real.
100%. And I point that out. When
that's set up. 100%.
You see the cuts. You see how you just see these little.
You look
things
at things differently,
very differently. It's almost like a glass that's been shattered. You don't enjoy stuff as much as before production, knowing production stuff.
I agree.
But so like TV magic happened. I actually got to shoot 2 days before the competition. Because nobody realistically could do it custom in an hour on set. Yeah. So they gave us They shipped out all the base shoes to all the customizers exactly 2 days before the show, so everybody had the exact amount of time to work on them.
Interesting.
They told us the shoe when we got them. They told us the theme when we got them. That way, there was still some sort of competition to it. Luckily, I got a good base shoe and a good theme. Other people didn't really. So I got Jordan 1, good base shoe. MTV theme.
They didn't give everybody a Jordan 1?
No. For example, John Manalo, his competition was different. He had a Croc. And his theme was like,
they were different episodes, right?
They were all different episodes. His theme was like Mardi Gras. So like bedazzle the shoe, make it look like a Mardi Gras.
How many
shoe.
episodes did they do of that show?
6 or 7, I believe.
I've only seen that one.
Yeah.
The one, yeah.
Luckily, the one we did was the opening to the rest of them, and it did the best just because they were dope customs. I went up against Nick the Hayman. He's another dope customizer. He does a lot of recon shoes. So when I learned that I was going up against him, I'm like, dude, I don't even build shoes. This guy's just gonna come up with something sick. So I was stressing for those like 2 days that I was working on the shoe. I had to come up with the concept, and there was certain rules to it. I couldn't use MTV certain logos on the shoe. I was only allowed what they gave me. So one MTV logo, and it had to be that specific one, and the theme. So I was at it for those 2 days, bro. It was stressful.
Who was working on the project with you? Like from a creative
standpoint.
Who was here at
Doug?
the time?
I want to say maybe Doug.
Might have been Doug, yeah.
But it was not much time to work on it, nor was it much of a rejuvenator project. I was working on it off hours, so there wasn't too much time to conceptualize anything.
Got you.
I came up with the colorway, and it looked like shit. Luckily, my girlfriend at the time, not at the time, my current girlfriend, she told me, dude, that shit's whack. She straight up told me it's whack.
Really?
She's blunt.
Okay, good.
That's good for me because I can always ask her for advice.
So had you already painted or you just
I already painted the shoe, bro. The shoe was painted.
Oh, wow.
She was almost done. So I can grab the shoe right now, but that purple iridescent tone was originally like a greenish tone. Oh. It looked stupid. And she called it out like, you're not going to win with that shit.
Wow.
But it was like the LED lights is what it sold the shoe to me.
Well, but originally you were going to put a watch in it, right?
Like a screen, exactly.
Yeah, screen,
but there was no time for that. Yeah. So I got creative with it, put the speaker underneath. Yeah. On the Jordan 1, you got that circle, drilled it out, found an Amazon speaker that fit perfectly. Spent forever drilling perfect holes. I had to drill maybe like 20 different holes to make it look like a sound bar. The trick was making them all even. That's 4 or 5 different rows, couple of the rows had like 4 dots. So like I had to drill with the drill and make
Grab
sure
the shoe. Grab the shoe.
Grab the shoe. Someone like they were over
But
there.
this,
My shoes.
this is the remake you made for.
No, that's the real shoe.
Oh, so you got the shoe back from MTV?
No, they kept that shoe. So I remade it on video.
Okay.
The
yeah,
one I
yeah.
have right here, that's
But
the remake.
identical, exactly.
It's exact like
Okay.
the first one.
I
But
thought this had a different twist to it.
no, exact same shoe.
Just
nothing different
remade
about
for
it.
the YouTube channel.
Exactly, because I wanted to keep it.
Yeah,
Like, they told me that we're not gonna let me have it. I'm like, fuck, I'm just gonna have to remake it back at home. But I knew I needed some wow elements.
Yeah.
You know, a colorway was not gonna cut
Of
it,
course.
and I knew the Heyman was gonna come up with something sick. He was gonna build something from scratch, so I needed some wow elements. That's where the speaker and the sound bar came. You know,
Luckily,
came
you've
to
done
play.
that before, right? It wasn't.
No, that was the
That was
first
the
time.
first time
So
you
I
did
never
the
put a
sound?
speaker into the shoe.
Done lights, I think, before that.
I've done lights, but never in that way. I never added 20 lights into a little section. There were just 20 holes.
Yeah.
Bottom row was green, top row was yellow. The rest of them were orange, and then the top ones were blinking red to make it look like it was peaking. So, and then I had to hook it up all to like one battery cell. You know, I just had to make it work for the show. After that, I could just, go to shit. I don't care. But when I was on the MTV set, I was presenting them the shoe. Let's sew on the shoe. Yeah, that's the shoe that won it. So all this purple iridescent tones, the swoosh and back area were like a green tone. That green would have not gone nicely with the pink or the silver or the black. So that's something I
So
completely
that was
switched.
the only color that you changed
Yeah.
after she told you.
Yeah.
Wow, good for her. Clap,
Did you
clap,
have-
clap, clap.
Yeah, shout out to my babe. She really definitely helped me win this shoe project. And dude, like this part was tricky as well. Like again, there's no recon to it. I just had to cut out a perfect piece that lines up perfectly where I can tuck it in and it's just not overlapping. Like that took forever.
So that was before you ever deconned a shoe?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So
Okay.
that was just tricky, but I spent like a good 2 days on the project before I had to fly out to LA. I finished the shoe up like 90%. I left the other 10% for camera purposes. So like once we got on set, they gave me a blank white shoe. For 30 minutes, I was customizing it, like really getting down on it. After about 30 minutes, they took away that shoe. They brought in the shoe that I started working on, and I just finished it up for another 30 minutes. And then at that point, the shoes were done, timer was up. We go up in front of the judges, and the judges were dope too. It was Sean Wotherspoon. I forget what's her name. She's also really famous. And then you also have dude from Walden Out.
Yep.
All 3 judges were super cool. And like I was pretty nervous up there when I was showing off the shoe because Nick's project was really sick.
So were all the customizers like looking at each other's shoes when they when did?
What was really cool, it was that this was the first episode, so this was the first one. It was the first episode, but it was the last one that was being filmed, so like all the other customizers already shot their videos and they were all on the side of the set just watching them announce the winner.
John Manal.
Everybody.
Okay, so they did all this in one. They didn't do this they did all this in the same time span.
It was like a 2 or 3 day thing.
Got you.
And the
Okay.
customizers all like being around with each other, so they were there for all 3 days.
Of course.
So
yeah, why
when
not?
we were presenting our shoes, like you had all the people on the sideline just like waiting to see who was going to
Yeah,
win
it
because
was
it was
nice.
going to
That's
that part was
cool.
not faked. We
yeah,
were really
no, of
waiting to
course.
see.
Yeah,
who
I mean it's not faked. It's just like you said, you can't show somebody working on something for 2 days.
It's just
yeah.
TV magic, exactly. So we were just anxiously waiting to see who were they going to announce the winner. And once they announced that I won it, dude, it was so sick. And like,
So you got there's 3 people, right?
there are 3
per
people
show?
all holding the shoe.
So
and I'm talking about the shoe. So as I'm talking about the shoe, they're looking at it, checking it out, and then out of nowhere, with
play
my
some
phone,
music?
I play the music,
Yeah.
and it, gets them out of, it shocks them.
Yeah.
And then the lights are bouncing, dude, like that right there just kind of sold it.
So as you're doing this, when did the other customizers see your shoe that you were working on? At what point did you break it out?
They were, so like, we were on set, we were filming.
Yeah.
We had that blank canvas doing stuff to it for 30 minutes.
Nobody's seen each other's shoes.
Nobody's
at this
seen each
point.
other's shoes,
Yeah.
exactly. And so like they come out, they change the shoes at that point. That's where we see what that.
Now you break them out. Now you guys are all looking like.
We have an idea of what the other person has. And then you have the other customizers on the sidelines also watching and producers.
And nobody knew there was a speaker in it yet.
Nobody knew anything about the shoes. So like everybody was waiting for this one just because it was me and Nick going up against each other. They know that we do some dope customs. They knew it was a Jordan 1, the theme. So this was the one that everybody was anxiously waiting to see who the winner was. And once they announced the winner, once they announced that I won, it was super cool. As I was walking off the set, dude, like everybody was high-fiving me, like all the MTV people, the artists. It was like one of the sickest feelings ever.
Dope.
Yeah, it wasn't just about winning. It was like having all those other people there watching.
They're your peers.
Yeah, it was a cool
industry.
feeling.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, because you were talking about something. I'm like, man, well, that was a really good experience. I'm sure.
And that's another milestone in my career. You know, there's a lot of little things, you know, that
they need to do that again.
Dude, this was like right before the pandemic. You know, so this is January, February, March.
I wonder what the ratings. Where was this?
It was YouTube TV,
on YouTube.
right?
It was YouTube
MTV's
TV.
Walled and Out. The people that made the show aren't with MTV no more. So Rich, too, he's the guy that made the whole thing. He works for a different company now. So it's one of those things where I don't know if somebody's going to come in and, you know, try to get that whole thing going again, or if it died down with him,
we
you know?
can do it.
Yeah.
Did they get any, are the views on that?
Yeah. This one has like over 1 million views.
Yeah, that's good.
I haven't seen the other videos in a while, but yeah, the overall ratings for the videos were great, man. A lot of people loved it. And nobody's really done that yet. Again, that's what kind of Robert was talking about. You know, like one day, who knows if this is still a thing, if the industry's still going. Like, there's no reason why these shows.
Yeah, Netflix special or something.
Exactly. You know, they do it for cars, they do it for food.
Yeah, and I've seen a couple sneaker-based shows, and they're just a little
Exactly.
cringy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So nobody's really
Needs to be
done it
right.
at that dope level.
Yeah.
So
So the
ready for
network
that.
comes.
Yeah, well, shit, maybe we
Sneaker
just
network.
do something ourselves.
Yeah, so for the time being, I'm just trying to become the best person when it comes to shoes, man.
Awesome.
You're doing great at it, that's for sure.
Well, tell me, what is a short-term goal? Because how long have we been at it right now? 145? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm having a great time.
Yeah.
That's what's I'm so excited to do this podcast because it's just something different, and it gives you a chance to have like a real conversation. And it breaks the monotony of the day-to-day. Like, I'm not stressed about what's happening here or there. And
100%, man.
Yeah, really get to it's almost, again, therapeutic as Akil said, just getting shit off our chest.
100%.
Right?
You know, like we see each other every day.
Yeah, we just don't get to shoot the shit that much.
Yeah, we're at the end of the day, we're working. You know, it's just hard to sit down and just have conversations. So, dude, this is special for sure. You know?
Well, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's the first one, and I think it's going to be our 1,000th video.
Hey, clap it up.
I mean, it has to be. So I'm sorry to put you motherfuckers on the spot because now it has to be the 1,000th video.
Ryan's over there shaking his head.
Oh, I know, but he said it was going to be easy to edit, so we'll
Until it was
we'll
an
try.
hour and
He's
56 minutes.
He's like,
So, like, cut it here. Just cut it here.
So give me, because I want to challenge you and I want you to set some intentions. What's a short-term goal? What would you like to do that you've kind of been putting it off? And it doesn't need to be gym. I know that you said you want to kind of hit the gym, but between now and next week when we have the next podcast, give me a goal and something that you can set some intentions to do.
Well, shit.
You want a spot now?
I know, right? I don't know, to be honest. One thing that I don't know if it's an intention that I want to amplify into my,
Don't worry.
Implement into my week.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the word. But one thing that's just like always sitting behind my head, bro, and like I always want to do it, but I just never do it. It's my Instagram, bro. So like I have like 1 million DMs, and I respond to some of them. Some of like the ones that are, quote unquote worth responding to, I respond to, but I do always want to sit down and take the time and respond to people for showing love, their questions and stuff. But I like it's like one of those things where they suggest like, well, why don't you have somebody else do it? Like, I don't want to have anybody else do it. I want to sit down and do it myself.
That's a full-time job at the end of the day.
So like that's one thing, dude. Just like being more active on Instagram. Just
I mean, you and me both, buddy.
just putting the phone recording as I'm doing something, or quick Instagram live and just shoot the shit with people, ask them questions. But I just don't ever do that, because if I ever have free time where I'm not like hands-on with shoes, I'm spending it somewhere else. I'm spending it with my family and my girlfriend. It's just hard to like prioritize time to Instagram. So that's the biggest thing. That's the part that's always like back of my head. Like,
so let's set a small goal.
okay.
Would you rather respond to people in DMs or post something?
Rather post something for sure,
Okay.
and that's the thing too. Like, dude, I have an arsenal of images from Nick, and I have them all organized. I just gotta fucking sit down and post them, But at the same time, like, I feel bad when I post it and I log off and go do other stuff, because have like 50 comments and I didn't hit the like.
Don't fucking feel bad.
And that's a problem. I have to not feel bad. I have to
Don't
get out of my
feel
own
bad.
head and just, it is what the fuck it is.
Like Joe Rogan says, don't even look at the goddamn comments
Yeah.
because if people are, you just don't want to. Yours
But I
is
think
a little
at his
different.
point, his like people are commenting wanting to know questions and they're
That-
asking
and that-
information that he wants to be able to.
And it's not just
provide
the
them.
question so much. It's more so like the love that everybody shares with me. I'm like, fuck, I really want to sit down and like, hey, I appreciate that, but I just don't.
I mean, I totally understand, but let's do baby steps. So the first step is you got to post because you can't respond to people that aren't like if you're not posting, you're not getting responses anyway.
Yeah.
So the first step is to post. So how many times can you post between today and next week when we have a podcast?
I say 2, and say 2 is fine.
2.
Yeah.
So you're going to commit to posting twice.
Yeah, between now and then.
Because I do think I scanned your Instagram the other day. I'm like, it doesn't look like he's posted in 3 months.
I posted last month.
Okay.
That sounds custom.
Well, it sounds like me, and that is one of the things that I want to do. I am not going to commit to that today because that's, again, I totally understand where you're coming from, and it's like a second job.
Yeah.
I don't want another job. But it's so crucial
It's crucial.
to build your own brand.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, and like I have no reason not to post. I have all the images ready to go.
Yeah, you have
brand
no,
is there.
you have no reason. I have to.
You know,
I don't have
Content
the
for days.
images. Yeah,
You know,
it's the content.
and I'm well aware like there's no excuse to just fucking.
Okay, so you're gonna commit to 2 posts.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm gonna be holding you accountable. I'm there liking, waiting on Instagram.
Sounds good.
You.
I'm gonna continue committing to the gym.
'Kay.
Working on his belly.
Look, I need a second one because
A
the gym
second
the
commitment?
gym is that's great, but what else?
We'll go to you and I'll come back to me.
Of course he's gonna do that. I'm gonna finish reading that book.
All right, and you said you didn't even finish at all, so that means you need to come up with a third one.
I read half of it, so I'm not drinking. Number 1, so that's
right.
1. And I'm gonna finish reading that book. That's gonna be my intention this week. And if I come back, I'm honest. If I come back and I don't, then you guys can all fucking talk shit. But I will because I'm saying I'm gonna do it right now. I'm gonna finish that book. I may even just read the rest of it fucking tonight, just so I don't have to worry about it again the rest of the week.
Yeah, I'll put up 2 posts right now too. Get out the way.
A story. I did a story. What you mean? In the grid. Man, now I'm on the spot. So obviously I'm gonna continue working out. And you guys got anything for me?
No, bro.
Some advice?
Well, I think working out. I mean, what are some of the things that you said you wanted to do originally? You wanted to read.
Yeah, so what I'm going to do is not read this week. I'll put that off. I'll say that for next week. But again, one of my original ones is to buy a house. And so I did do the NACA program, but I haven't even logged in yet. I haven't even looked at the documents that I should submit.
There you go.
So that needs to be my top priority is make sure I log into the NACA program and see what my next steps are. I know I need to meet with a counselor. I know I need to submit documents. I just don't know what documents, really what my next steps are with that program. So that has to be my main focus this week. Obviously going to the gym and then continue into this program so I could buy a house.
When are you looking to buy a house?
Soon, dude. Next year.
You need to get on. You should.
Team
up.
I'm already on that too.
Are you?
Akil's what Akil
Yeah,
went through.
yeah.
Yeah.
They just look again. They look at your finances.
Yeah.
And it's not.
You know,
probably not a pleasant experience.
They
but-
definitely, Akil told me all about that. They deep dive.
Oh
they
yeah. They want to make sure you're not wasting money.
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotta make sure that's all.
Okay,
in order.
I'll take that. So
Yeah,
by
I
next
gotta
week,
do that.
what are you going to accomplish by next week?
I'm going to be logged in.
Don't just say I'm just going to log in. I'm going to
No,
log
I'm
in.
going to log in. I'm going to look at the documents and hopefully I can schedule an appointment.
So you're going
like
to
with the
log
advisor.
in, read through, and
Read
schedule
through,
an appointment.
And hopefully I can schedule an appointment, with that advisor to really find out what type of timeline I'm looking at to buy a house, what my main next steps are. Obviously, I know I have to submit documents, just don't know what documents, but I'm really going to log in and digest that information and what my next steps will be.
Awesome.
And we'll talk about it next week.
Man, I had a fucking great time.
It
Thank
was
you
a
for
pleasure.
joining. This went by super fast, and
really did.
excited to do the next one. So hopefully you guys like the first episode on YouTube. If these guys get it done by tomorrow.
Hey, that's going to do it. That's going to wrap it up. We out. Peace.